The Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring.
Hello, welcome to the best of 2005 in the American Le Mans Series.
On the worldwide stage, and a fast start to the international
endurance racing. Of course, this ALMS series was born in 1999, so this is the 6th season of it. As in Le Mans, there are 4 classes: the LMP1s, the LMP2s, the GT1s, and the GT2s. As always, the big favourites, well, for the overall wins are going to be the 2 Audis from the champion team in the top category. But it seems that the 2 Lola AERs from the Dyson team could pose a threat this season.
The arena is empty, except for one man still driving and striving as fast as he can. The sun has gone down and the moon has come up. And
there are going to be 10 races in 2005, most of them 2 hours and 45 minutes, except Sebring, which is round 1, which will be 12 hours, the Petit Le Mans round 9, which is 10 hours, and Laguna Seca round 10, which will be 4 hours.
Cars, world-class drivers, premier road courses. Born in France in 1923 with the first running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
So in the GT1s, there'll always be a battle between the 2 Works Corvettes, and in GT2, as always, a big battle to come between the Porsches.
Drivers from around the world strut their speed, skill, and endurance.
It's going to be a thrilling series once again. We're in Sebring for the opening round of the season. This one in Florida, the prestigious 12 hours.
This is the American Le Mans Series.
It was, no doubt, the potential for exactly this type of day that helped inspire Alec Ullman to create an international sports car race.
It's time now to go and see the big moments of the race with our original live commentators trackside at Sebring.
Truly makes for the perfect March day. Speed Channel's coverage of the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring is brought to you by new high-endurance oils from Mobil, the oil that's changing oil. By Porsche, there is no substitute. And by Michelin, a better way forward. Back at Sebring, everybody, as we close in on the start of this great American Le Mans season, the 53rd annual Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring, and this is the Pirelli flyover. It came courtesy of the 93rd Fighter Squadron based at Homestead Air Force Base just south of Miami. It was an absolutely glorious moment as these great jets came across this phenomenal raceway. And now let's go down for motorsport's most famous command.
Drivers, start your engines.
You're allowed to cheer in there at this point, ladies and gentlemen. And Sonny Rahal.
Our Grand Marshal, Bobby Rahal, issuing those famous words. Let's get down now to another member of our pit commentary team, Andrew Marriott, for more on our other classes.
Yeah, the Pirelli storylines in GT2. Sasha Masson alongside me here, going for an incredible straight 5 wins in a row. But someone could stop him. It could be American muscle power of the Paynoses. The 50 car actually qualified second. Well, Sasha's with me. Sasha, this is going to be hard work for you, and you've got a second co-driver. Are you getting old? Because normally you do this with just Lucas Luhr.
Well, some rumors say I'm getting old, but I think I'm just getting more intelligent. Because the last years they were so incredibly hard when you just have with 2 drivers. So this time we have 3. And also it's very good if you have 2 pilots, co-pilots that are really good, so there's no risk.
Are you worried at all about the Paynos?
I don't know for how long they will be so quick, but I hope it will not be for 12 hours.
Thanks, Sasha. Well, for the P2 story, let's go to Lindsay Zariak.
What's that? Guys, typically if a P2 wins this race, it is not necessarily because of speed, but more because their team was the team left standing. This year, the depth in this field is amazing, and this is something to watch out for. The Kumo tires. Miracle Motorsports has decided to make this switch. They have not had a lot of time to test. So the question is, could they get burned by this new addition, or could this be the edge that gets them a win here at Sebring? Now to another member of our team, Ralph Shaheen.
Thanks, Lindsay. I'm joined now by a couple of gentlemen who have seen a lot of laps around this famed racetrack. Dorsey Schrader won here, driving in a Mercury Cougar, and Alan de Cadenet has seen it from the cockpit of a Porsche and a Ferrari, just to name a couple. Well, there's quite a few ways you can get to victory lane here at Sebring, and being fast is just part of it. Let's break down our Porsche keys to victory now, beginning with the prototype category and the P1 class, Dorsey.
Passing savvy. These P1 cars are extremely fast, but they're racing with 3 sets of classes of cars that are slower. You can't just go knocking the fenders off, making extra pit stops if you're going to win. Secondly, can the Dyson cars last? Rob Dyson has 2 very good cars, good drivers, but this track has been their nemesis. If they should be able to not break down, they might win.
And the P2 category, lighter cars, super drivable, super maneuverable. If they keep snapping at the heels of the P1 cars, slightest error up the sharp end, we can see a big surprise in the P2.
The next 2 divisions fall under the banner of the production cars, and GT1 this past winter, Dorsey, has everybody talking with a lot of excitement.
A lot of new cars, Aston Martin, Corvette, Celine, but will the new cars last?
And GT2, you can't thrash these cars over the curbs the way they do in other races. You've got to be nice and smooth, nice and straightforward. Another thing too is if the yellow flags come out, we get a caution lap here. You could make up a whole lap or lose a whole lap, so the drivers have to know where they are on the track too.
Greg, spectacular race cars, incredible driving talent, and one very tough and challenging racetrack should make for an amazing 12 hours of Sebring today.
Ralph, that is exactly what everybody is in fact anticipating. We want to take you now to the entirety of our Aqua Velva starting grid. You've met the Mobile One pole sitters, but there are some great stories. Qualified 3rd overall in P1, the first of the Dyson cars, Guy Smith turned the fastest lap in practice by over half a second over anybody else. John Field is very, very quick, and his car, the pole sitter in P1, 10 seconds faster than last year's qualifying record, knocking on the door of P1 times. In GT1, of course, the 2 Corvettes looking very, very strong, but it wasn't the Aston Martins or the Maserati that qualified 3rd. It was the Asemco Celine. On Michelin tires this year, a rejuvenated program. And also, in the GT2 category, the biggest class here in terms of number, without doubt, everybody figured it would be Porsches. Just loaded up at the top of the field. Andrew Marriott alluded to it. Bill Oberlin took the number 50 Panos EGTLM to 2nd on the starting grid, and I think Sasha Maassen was indicating they're a little worried about that car's speed. Reliability, maybe another story, but there are definitely a number of good things to watch here. One of them, when we get to the back end of the grid, you'll notice in the 35th spot, the P2 car of last year's champion team, Clint Field. Problems in the practices. They didn't get a really good time turn. We would expect them to be coming up through the pack, but as we've talked about, you've got to do that with some savvy here and not start knocking things off of your race car and slowing your progress up through the field. Now, one of the things that we've talked about a lot, Dorsey Schrader, is the challenges of this circuit. It's time for the Yokohama Track Mac. Give us some specifics.
Well, this is the toughest of most racetracks, and you're going to have a lot of congestion. You're going to see it between turn 1 and 3 right there, 5 and 7, down into the hairpin, a lot of passing right there. 13, you look at the tower turn. From there to this fastest Bishop Bend, fastest corner on the course, cars going side by side can have a lot of trouble there. And this turn 17, the nemesis coming on the pit straightaway.
And bumps is the other issue. Keep an eye on here. That's huge. And where they are working right now, coming out of that 16th turn and making their way down into the final turn called Sunset Bend, right as you get underneath that bridge, incredibly bumpy, and the same thing going into turn 1, Alan. And that's a blind approach, both of these corners.
Plenty of time to practice, of course, but this is the lap. The hearts will be beating a lot faster now. Well, fairly fast, let's say. And this is it. This is the off. The whole 12 hours of Sebring, and we've worked here all week, and we cannot wait to see what's going to happen.
Let's get down to Calvin Fish. Apparently problems for one of our contenders.
We've actually got two cars down here in pit lane. They failed to make the mark in terms of the time frame and allowed to get on the grid. One is the number 15 Benny Motorsports LMP2 car. And one of the strikers, Marino Franchitti, had a problem with that car during the warm-up. They had to do some work to the hub. The 47 car will stop in pit lane also, Greg.
Thanks, Cal. And the field coming underneath the bridge onto the front straight. Pace car is in. The two ADT champion Audis coming up to speed. And we are underway at Sebring. The American Le Mans season has begun. Dyson car looks to the inside, wisely tucks back in, and it is the two champion cars that lead at the exit of turn 1. And now they head up into the S's, and it is as well. Oh, a lot of brake lock up there from the number 20 car in the hands of Guy Smith.
Well, that's cold-tired brake lock up, and I wanted to see these Dyson cars really pounce at the start. They need to...
Damage. There's a puncture or some damage on the front. I've got a puncture. Get this lap, puncture.
Well, that was the sound of the 20 car, the Dyson car, saying he has a puncture. Guy Smith, and you see the smoke right there. He definitely has a puncture. Left front, locked up and down.
And we also saw spun sideways in the track the number 45 Flying Lizard Motorsports Porsche, started by John Fogerty, the reigning Toyota Atlantic champion. So problems for some of these cars right at the off, and certainly this is huge news.
Yeah, seriously bad luck for them. He obviously picked up a sharp piece of flint or something, got himself a puncture on the first lap, but that's what this endurance racing is all about. He's got to creep that car back to the pits now, get that wheel off, get a new one on, and get back out there. And probably he'll gas it to catch up, because you've got to keep up if you're going to be in the the hunt for the win here.
You heard the crewman saying, take it easy, don't tear up the floor panel. He's talking about the tire. The left front being down is in danger of delaminating and coming apart. If it does that, it will beat the under tray.
Excellent start. Smith already in trouble in the 20 car with a puncture. Well done.
There you hear the Piro getting the information that the 20 is in trouble already. And like I said, if that tire comes apart and it damages the under tray, well, that's a very big fix indeed.
Got a good glimpse there of James Weaver and the team, Tedford Norcold Dyson Lola, as he sits in the third spot. But up front, Emanuele Pirro was starting to ease away just a little bit already from J.J. Leto in the second car. Weaver close at hand, and that promotes the P2 class leader of John Field is already up into the fourth spot. But Calvin Fish, the Emanuele Pirro, is wasting little time opening up a bit of a margin.
He's certainly on the gas hard. In fact, the team are running brand new Michelin tires here. They only tested them for the first time yesterday morning with all of the rain that we had here on Thursday. But for the two car, they got a lucky break in the morning warm-up. They had a starter motor go bad. So certainly if that happened during this 12-hour event, would have cost them a lot of time on pit road. So they changed that over. It's only happened twice before they had in all 4 years of running the R8, but they got it fixed and he should be fine.
Watching some of the telemetry, it really gives you an idea of some of the loads that these cars and therefore the drivers are dealing with. Let's go back and take a look at what happened to the Flying Lizard number 45 Porsche.
This is in turn 1. As you see the exit of turn 1, this is the straight now headed down. Oh, got caught off right there. Locked up the brakes before he spins. That'll have flat spots.
And the number 20, Guy Smith, has made it down into pit lane.
Greg, he's brought it to a stop. Damage obviously on the left front tire. That's what we saw before, but no damage on the bodywork. It looks like he managed to save that. It was a puncture, no contact with any other car. They will put 4 tires on it as Guy Smith sits in the car waiting. If they can get this car back out, he's going to have to drive it very hard to get back to the front. I did talk to Chris Dyson earlier, and he said, we're not concerned about only 2 drivers. The pace will run. It'll be fine. We should be okay. But the pace they're going to have to run now just got turned up a notch, Greg.
Well, Guy Smith is the new shoe in the Dyson program, but as we talked about in practice, that lap he turned was just blindingly quick. And if you've got to have somebody hustle in the car, he's the guy to do it. The problem is they have now gone down another lap.
Well, I'll tell you, Chris Dyson says it's no problem with 2 drivers. It is too. I've done it here with 2 drivers. And it's very hard. You heard Sasha Maassen say, and he's a young man. They call him an old man, but he's a young man still. And he says, you know, I've learned I might be a little smarter. It takes 3.
Well, you're right. Look at all the grip they're getting out of these cars these days. We've already had a look at the telemetry there. I mean, these guys are pulling over 2 Gs loading as they go into the tighter turns. Well, that's a big loading to have on your body for, whatever, 6 hours. If there's just 2 of you, 6 hours each makes 12.
Now look at that. Bureau using the curbs with little S's there. Something that I wouldn't think you'd want to see. He's making an adjustment right there.
Working through the Fangio chicane up to the legendary Cunningham corner. We are very early in the going here at the 53rd Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring. Welcome back to Sebring International Raceway. We are 12 minutes, make it 11, left in this race. And you can see Tom Christensen is doing everything he can to maintain the margin he has, a little over 11 seconds. And let's throw some numbers at you. As we said, about 11 minutes to go. They're lapping at a minute 50 or thereabouts. So say 5 laps left, plus maybe one on the white flag. So, boy, McNish has taken it down to 10 seconds, but he needs to crack off 2 to 2.5 seconds a lap to make this miracle happen.
Yeah, because they're actually lapping now, and look, low 150s. I mean, 48, upper 48s. There's only about another second to go at the very best this track was. And I imagine it isn't at its best because it's got a lot of grit and derision on there, plus that oil, of course, all mixed in.
And the telling tale of the tape will be traffic. Calvin?
Down here with Dr. Ulrich, head of Audi Sport, and what a terrific race we've seen here tonight with the 2 champion cars.
Yeah, it's a really terrific race. We are now close to the end, and the cars are separated a little bit more than 10 seconds. I think that's the best way to show how great sports car racing can be.
It certainly shows once again how great this R8 sports car is, winning since the year 2000, and I think it's now won like 53 events worldwide or something. But the big news is, what's on the drawing board for next year? What are we going to see from Audi, do you believe?
Yeah, we are going to follow what we committed. We are going to come with a new prototype next year, and I'm looking forward to some more good races in the future.
So after seeing this car perform, you believe you can build something a little bit better, I assume?
Yeah, I think our target is about that we will, at the end of the year, start to run this car, to develop it on the racetracks and on testing tracks. And I think it could be a good idea to come back to Sebring with the car and do the very first one here. We did it with the R8, and it was a good start for an excellent, let's say, career, and maybe we could do it the same way.
The car has been unbelievable, but also the engine, and there's a lot of rumors floating around about what you may put in the back of that car. What can you tell us about the power plant?
For sure we will have an engine again that is something a little bit special, as we did it in history, because whenever we try to come with a new car, we also want to bring some steps in technology, like we do it with our road cars.
Okay, well, there you hear the word, they're coming back, which is great news, and we're talking about diesels possibly, boys.
It's coming back with an engine, we know that much.
Well, that's from the good doc himself. I mean, it's nice we actually now do know for sure that there's something tasty coming along.
8.5 minutes remaining. The margin is 9.5 seconds. It's about 4 laps, timed at a minute 50 per lap. And one of the things that we can at least talk about here is, remember, the official closest finish ever was a managed finish for the Audi team early on in the Audi R8 career. It was down to a second, and it was a photo finish. In 1999, the margin was a little over 9 seconds for what they're saying is the true closest finish. So we may at least see that, even if McNish can't get there.
This isn't managed. This isn't managed.
No, this is not managed, but you're going to see that because this next lap, it should be under 9.5 seconds unless there's traffic. Like I said, the key here can be traffic. Both these cars giving it their all, and they're all going to come into slower cars that are also giving it their all. And,
it's great stuff, isn't it?
It really is.
Two Grand Prix men really gassing it in the best sports car that we've ever seen on the track, one way and the other, yeah.
And, you know, right now, 9.5 seconds separates them after 11 hours and, you know, 40-plus minutes.
Right.
So it's pretty amazing stuff.
Now, you just saw in our speed strip, we showed you the intervals and the other 3 classes, and they're all multiple laps. So you're not missing anything. It's just this P1 and overall battle right now is very compelling between the 2 team cars.
It's very decent of Porsche to give us this lovely aerial cam view as well. I mean, this is one of the best ways you can ever watch sports car racing, whereupon we've lost it. But
guys are
that's the number 2 of McNish, and that last lap he ran only 0.2 quicker than Christensen, but so it went from 9.5 to 9.3, Dorsey.
But he, as we saw from the Porsche aerial cam there, he had to pass 3 different cars to get that. Now that that has been said and done, this next lap should be pretty quick.
7 minutes remaining.
I would think this is quite a battle to witness as another driver in another car when these guys come by.
Oh boy!
You know, what a great ringside scene.
I would want my spotter, my crew guy, to let me know that these 2 hound dogs are at my back door because boy, they are after.
Yeah, they got teeth too.
Now, obviously, Christensen knows McNish is coming, but he also knows he's got 10 seconds with, what now, 3 laps to go. He can be a little patient traffic and not do anything silly. He's not going to back off a lot.
Probably 3 laps after this one, Al. 3 more laps after this one.
Oh, there was a block.
Plus, of course, if McNish were to catch him, right behind him, he's still going to get by. I mean, that really is the, as we all know, catching someone up is one thing, getting by is another. And for these two cars, equally matched, getting by would not be easy at night. And as we said earlier, once you get offline, you don't know what you're going to be.
3 laps to go. Keep it up.
So no gain on that lap either. That was number 1 radio that we listened to right there.
Good instructions.
They both ran 50 second, 1 minute 50.3 for Christensen, 150.1 for McNish.
Cool instructions.
Yeah, very good instructions.
Keep it up, Tom.
51.3 for Tom.
Oh, 8.5 seconds now. You heard the 51.3 for Tom. McNish just went a 1 minute 50.5, so he took another second off.
You could just get an eyeball on him, right, Alan? If you could see him.
Boy, it'd make a difference. I say that, I do not think there can be another gnats of a second in this thing, really. I mean, they're really circulating about just as darn quick as anyone can.
I agree with you there. I think that's how you're seeing that. That's why they are so close, because they're identical cars, aren't they? I mean,
it's a treat, actually. This is a real treat for everybody watching this show to see these two GP boys really hacking it, and I think it's fantastic. Speaks volumes for the cars, speaks volumes for the drivers, speaks volumes for the team.
Well, right now it's under the closest finish ever in the history. And I'm sure it's going to get tighter yet.
And 5 minutes remaining. Now we're going to try with our Porsche aerial cam here. Once we get down the long almond back straight, we're going to see if we can pull that view back a little bit and show you what the margin is here as we head into the last few laps. So let's see what we can do.
Just kind like to ask our producer perhaps to very kindly not go to break just yet.
For at least 4
we already have settled that issue before the last break. We were told, and we told everybody, we're here right to the finish.
8.5 is a report on the split.
There's the leader on your right. Pull back, pull back, pull back. Where is the 2 car?
Here's the leader.
There
he is right there. Here is probably your second place car.
Yeah.
It's actually this car right here.
Oh, God. He's going to catch him. He's going to see him.
They're on the same front straightaway now.
All right. You heard that. Christensen, they just told him he turned to 50.8.
And a 50.5.
There he goes. There goes McNish.
51.1 for McNish on the current lap. So, yeah, he just lost 4/10. As we are now under 4 minutes to go here. That very likely was you saw McNish get bopped just a little bit when he came up behind the Viper, who got caught behind another car, and he had to do that big bob and weave, and that very likely could have cost him that about 0.8 of a second in that one run alone.
3 minutes. Not much you can do about it now with an 8-second deficit. Both these guys know where they stand.
Yeah, actually, Christensen's he's responded. Good old Tom, look, he's gassed it a bit. Responded.
There's your race leader, Christensen. Boy, I tell you what, I mean, he has done everything he possibly can do. When it's clear track, he's matching McNish for times. And I mean, that's the telling factor. Traffic is traffic, but when he's got the clear track, he's doing everything.
Well, that's being a professional, isn't it? That's what they pay these guys for. I'm glad they pay him too. They put on a really, really good show for everybody else.
Closest in the history, if it stays where it is.
And I really don't want to mention the downside of things, but 2 penalty stops by the number 2 car.
Well, yeah, that's true.
That really could be the telling factor.
8.9, Tom.
Stays the same. Yeah. Stays the same, so it's just under the closest finish in history.
JJ may have made a point earlier, though. It could be Alan's tyres are just starting to, go the wrong way. I mean, the man's going to charge as hard as he can.
You know, McNish.
There you see the countdown clock, minute 46.
McNish would just slow up a little bit. They wouldn't have to do 2 laps.
They don't have to do 2 laps. Plus another 1 left.
Well, there you have have it. Obviously, Christensen got by, and he got by just before they figured that he'd be able to run one lap to the checker, so they have to do one more, and it's down to 7.6.
7.6, white flag this time by, white flag this time by.
White flag, that means last lap.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he needs to get 4 seconds a lap.
Yep, that's what he would need to
and
get.
A pass.
And a pass.
And make the pass.
Yeah, no, the only way this is going to, we're going to have a change in the result here is if something else gets in the way.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah. Well, it's been worth waiting 12 hours, guys, hasn't it, for this?
It certainly has.
While we watch this race, it's a great race going on. Also, we should say the Aston Martin is also in the shape to take its first ever win.
Yeah, that's right.
In GT1.
That's right. Yep.
And Jörg Bergmeister in the 31 Porsche has just been on top of the game all day, even though that shock absorber has been a pain and nuisance. They've been unbeatable and still remain so.
And great effort by Corvette too. Like second in the GT1 to the Aston Martin, but considering all the work they had to do, all the patch-ups and stuff, very good.
And like you said earlier, the Dyson boys will come in third, which is probably where they were going to come in.
White flag this time, Tom. 7.6.
Yeah, I think they can all be very proud of themselves, actually, one way and the other. This has been an exemplary race, I think, for a lot of teams. They've done a wonderful job.
Here's your pit straight. Now look up on the left there. You're going to see the white flag. 1 to go.
His lap that time, a 1:52.6.
Same straightaway. There is McNish getting the white flag right there at start-finish line.
Let's see what McNish's time is this time by. 1:52.5, so a difference of 10. So there you have it. I mean, McNish is immensely talented, incredibly gifted, but right now he needs to be a Las Vegas magician to be able to make that car just disappear, is really where we are.
Well, they got about 3.5 miles to duke it out, and that's going to be all.
Yeah. I think we're looking at the justified result.
We do have a lap car that's going to be...
No wall rushing, boys. No wall rushing.
Traffic here. Got through clean. Turn 10, Cunningham corner. There's a car, a couple of cars up in front as we head down through Bishop Bend and into Jean de Bien Bend. I think he's going to catch it just about right, because he'll come out of the Le Mans curve and be able to get by him gently down that straight.
Interesting when we get to speak to these guys too, see if it's maybe the hardest piece of driving they've ever done between the two of them.
They're not letting off, I guarantee you that.
You want a photo finish? You want a photo finish?
Keep the hammer down. 7.5.
Yeah, you may want a photo finish, but Mitch does not want one.
I was only joking. Very well done. Fantastic.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Hello, champion. Well done, guys. We deserved this one. And believe me, I was racing flat out. Well done, 12 and 2. They did really great to put me under extreme pressure. Well done, guys. But I'm happy for this one. Brilliant.
What a nice thing to say. Absolutely. Well done, Alan, huh? What a sportsman.
Let's keep in mind, this was Christensen's third Le Mans win as well, so pretty stout achievement for him as well. Here are the unofficial results in each class in terms of winners, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the American Le Mans Series Seasons Review, the best of the action from 2005. We're now in Road Atlanta for round 2 of the series. This is the only track, of course, that's used twice in the season, as it's used for the 10 hours of the Petit Le Mans race. Well, after all the acrobatics in the air beforehand, it was time to go down a trackside for some acrobatics of our own. Let's relive the best moments of the race live on MotorsTV.
inside the last 10 minutes of the second round of the American Le Mans Series. The battle for first and second in GT2 has been close all day, and never closer than it is right now, with Robin Liddell in the silver and red Panos, the Esperante, which is built barely a stone's throw away from where we're standing at the moment, and in second place, coming right from the back of the GT2 category grid, it's the number 23 Alex Job racing car, Timo Bernhard, and down the inside John Field gets mixed up in this as well, in the leading P2 contender. Bits of bodywork flapping on the left-hand front of that car. It's had its knocks as well throughout the day. It's gone through its own little private war. But just look at this battle, and Robin Liddell now catches up with another car. We're going to go 3 wide on the start-finish line as the Van der Ster brothers car's right in there as well. Michele Mugello in the Car Sport Viper car is just hanging on to the back of these 2 GT cars. He's got the best view in the house at the moment. As off has gone Johnny Molam. Johnny Molam in 4th position in the Asemco Celine. That car beset with handling problems all weekend. And, you know, I think he's gone off at exactly the same place that his teammate Terry Borchella did in qualifying, or the practice before qualifying yesterday, out at is that turn number 6? Yes, it was. 5 and 6 was the problem yesterday, and now this battle for GT2 rages on. And just interesting to see that Robin Liddell seems to, well, there's the clock that'll tell you the Jean-Richard time just ticking away, and that, by my reckoning, is about 7 minutes to go before we'll see the checkered flag rather, over that particular rostrum. And now, Ruggello's getting mixed up in this in the car sport right. I had to lift off there as Bernhard jinks to the left, then to the right. Now back to the right again as Robin Liddell is trying his hardest to keep that car behind. Interesting to see from here onwards, Liddell seems to have a little bit of an advantage. He comes down through the last 2 corners. Oh, that's Butch Leitzinger. Leitzinger is off the side of the circuit, so the Dyson Charge and the pole-sitting car will not challenge at the head of the field. Oh, that's cruel look for the MG Lola AER engine car. There's a little bit of flame underneath the left rear. That's where the turbocharger and the exhaust is. There might just be a little bit of an oil fire there as Butch goes out through one of the photographer holes, and we need to get to that relatively quickly because that may only be oil at the moment, but if that catches hold, it could do a bit of damage. And maybe this has been maybe that was the source of his spin as well. He may have spun on his own oil, Doug.
May well have been the case, but right underneath that is grass, and grass tends to burn, so we need to get to that as quickly as possible.
And that's just a little bit of oil fire, I think, at the moment. Right, let's have a look at the class leaders then in GT1. This is Johnny O'Connell from the pole position, the new record set by Johnny O'Connell in qualifying, which stole that record, one of the longest standing records we have in the ALMS, away from Ron Fellows, a record that had stood since September 2000, now belongs to Johnny O'Connell. This is GT2, and Michele Mugello has gone through, and he's allowed, surely, the pass to be made by, I don't believe it, neither of them got by, and somehow, I think Michele Mugello in the Viper there realised he might have got in the way, backed off to make sure neither of them got an advantage of it. That's almost what it seemed like. And Robin Liddell would have been cursing for a moment there because he did lose track position for a moment to Timo Bernhard in the Porsche. Local yellows for that safety vehicle, the IMSA safety vehicle, going to the aid of Butch Leitzinger's vehicle, and thankfully went off to the grass very early. Graham Tyler can give us some news on the demise of the pole sitter.
Yeah, all I've been able to get out of James Weaver is that they've lost drive in the car, and they're aware of the fire. Obviously they've seen that the same as you and I have on the monitors, but there was a complete loss of drive in the vehicle. That's what caused the initial problem.
Well, very uncharacteristic to see Butch Leitzinger in a spin in any race car. Maybe the mechanical gremlins were besetting him slightly earlier on when we saw him stall that car. But it's Esperante versus Porsche, Panos versus Porsche, and this time Timo Bernhard jinks out to the right-hand side. He's got a good spot here, but he's going to have to go the long way around. He'll get a little bit of run through 9, which goes his way, but now Robin Liddell is being squeezed onto the inside. Last of the late breakers, the Scotsman not going to give this one up. He's been mean with road position. He's been mean with that lead. He's not going to give it away. And Robin Liddell is fighting tooth and nail. He's had 2 hellish scraps in the last 4 or 5 hours because he did exactly the same. Alex Job there looking to the monitors as the fire is put out on the 16 car. You can't take your eyes off this for a moment, Doug Kelly.
No, you can't. This is one of the great battles we've ever seen in any category in the ALMS in the last few years, at least that I've been involved. For the last half hour, just wheel-on-wheel racing.
And Alex Job getting very excited. Just a few moments ago, that was when they were up behind the Viper. He thought that Timo had it. Remember, this car started well back. Almost a little bump there as they came out of turn 5. They've got the leader right with them, and Liddell's got no choice but to go slightly defensively. Has he left the door open into 7? Down the inside, there's a touch, and Liddell gets done in exactly the same place twice in 2.5 hours. Robin Liddell will be fuming. First Max Papis in the Speed World Challenge race, and then Timo Bernard, who had been clean up until then, and just stuck his nose in the car, very, very light and unbalanced, and there was only, I'm afraid, there was only one outcome as soon as Bernard put his nose down on the inside of there, and it's what you saw, that car spinning around.
As soon as he put the nose down, it resulted in the spin, and Robin Liddell, it has not been his day. He is going to look back very unfondly on what has happened to him in both races here this afternoon.
Well, that's a desperate shame with 4 minutes to go, and that is the leader coming up amongst the cars ahead of him, JJ Leto. And he's, unfortunately, we're not seeing the replay. Oh, dear me. I wonder how the IMSA officials will view that as Robin Liddell gets hit twice, almost in identical the same. That we're seeing the Hewitt, and I just can't believe that Robin's been so unlucky. And at the same part of the circuit this morning, when he got hit by Max Papis in the Cadillac, and he really got nailed by Papis slightly further back down the track this morning, in fairness. It wasn't as big a hit. The 23 car gets a black flag for avoidable contact. Well, the IMSA officials watching the same pictures as you and I saw and have acted quickly. Didn't happen in the Speed World Challenge race this morning, but Robin Liddell may feel some vindication then as Timo Bernard's charge back to the front was completed, but completed unfairly. Needs to get into the pits really quickly because there's not much time left, and he comes straight into the pit lane. And with the lead he's got back to Robin Liddell, it's going to be tough. He's only got a 2-second lead, but he's obviously got a quicker car. Liddell goes through, out of your sight, and heads off towards turn number 1. It'll be a stop-go penalty. Third position is Jörg Bergmeister, and is not a factor in this because he's a lap away from that battle we've been enthralled with over the last 10 minutes. We've got 2 minutes of racing left to go. Timo Bernard crawls down at 40 miles an hour, 60 kilometers an hour. That'll be the longest pit lane he has ever seen in his short racing career. Stop, go, and gets it running again. But he's lost a huge amount of ground. Unfortunately, we've been denied a grandstand finish as well, I say rather selfishly. But Doug Kelly, the IMSA officials making a very quick call there, and in your mind, a good call?
I think so. Very definitive. They wasted no time in making that decision, and usually when that's the case, they're pretty firm on their ground. And I think they made the right call.
The voice of Doug Kelly with the last few moments of the American Le Mans Series here at round 2 at Atlanta, still to come.
So there you have the results of the Road Atlanta race, second round of the season, and it was a victory, unsurprisingly, for Audi once again. Lola winning the P2. And then as we go into GT1s, those two Corvettes continue to battling it out in front. Fellows and O'Connell winning this particular head-to-head dogfight against Gavin and Beretta. And into the GT2s. Very, very unusual to see a Porsche not on top of that. Oberlin and Little in a Panos out in front. So now we go to Meadow High for round 3 with a new P1 car, the official Zytek of Shimoda and Chilton.
And now, in fact, he's the new leader, because while we were just talking about him, Shimoda has out-fumbled Butch Leitzinger through the traffic. He's right up alongside that battle we've been talking about, and he's Leitzinger. They go 3 wide up the hill towards the keyhole, and there's going to be more traffic. Shimoda being very aggressive in traffic there as he now goes down through the gearbox, drifts a little bit wide but managed to hold on to the curb there. A little bit of the camber just holding it, the front end of the car. Now he's got to get by the Corvette. They go 3 wide again over the start line. Down in towards the S's, and the Corvette just having to move out the way. Butch Leitzinger, the second of those 2 in blue and white cars, stays wide to driver's left. He'll try and cut back now and get a run. It's the 45 Flying Lizard car that's ahead of them. Johannes van Overbeek at the wheel, and they're side by side going down the hill, and the lead has changed again. Twice in 6 corners. This is real racing, real superstars. The American Le Mans Series delivering again live on MotorsTV and around the world at AmericanLeMans.com. Mid-Ohio proving once again that a great circuit produces great racing every time. And Pat Long just slightly getting in the way of the battle there for first and second as they come through to 12 and 13 and back onto the start line. And we've got an Audi wind problems. Graham Tyler.
Yeah, I've just spotted it on the monitor. It's the number 1 car, I think. I'm going to head up to the pits there. The number 1 Audi looks to have damage.
Yeah, the number 2 car comes home ahead of it. Oh yes, the whole of the left-hand front side, and there's a wheel hanging off. Oh, this is real drama, unseen by you at the moment, but the 51 car, the Panos, has some problems as well. Brian Sellers in the car, and now there's the damage on the Audi as it comes in along pit lane. JJ Leto has obviously had a coming together with the number 51 Panos. Remember, that car started at the back. Graham Tyler, that does not look good.
No, they're already saying that's the end of... Oh, no, that's the end of that. It's the race over for the number 1 Audi. The whole...
and there's another car out on the circuit that's a problem, and it's the Alex Job Racing 24 car, Graham, that's out there as well. And there's all kinds of debris on the circuit. Turn number 8 and 9. I think that's going to be a safety car. Graham Tyler in the Audi pits, just exactly what they didn't need going to Le Mans this week.
Absolutely not. Everything from the nose back to the middle of the cockpit area on the left-hand side of the car is destroyed. That's the end of this Audi's participation this weekend. I'm going to get over the wall, have a very quick word with JJ if I can. If he's calm enough to have a word. He looks incandescent underneath the helmet. Let's see if we can have a quick word. Yeah, we've got a full course caution. JJ Leto's out of the car. JJ, that looked nasty. What happened?
That was one of the GT cars that spun in front of the Panos, and they hit the brakes very hard. I was right behind, and then the car just bounced on me. So I hit it very hard. I don't know who it was.
Thanks, JJ. Unfortunately, the car damaged beyond repair for this afternoon. As I say, we're under a full course caution. So everybody will come under regulation of the pace car. And to watch that process, let's hand back to John.
Graham Tyler on the spot with JJ Leto, Brian Sellers and Ian Bass, who had the problem there. And that looks like it could be terminal for the 24 car as well. And from Paris, we're hearing some very garbled communication from MotorsTV at the moment. And a lot of people are going to come into the pits now. 20 minutes into this race, this could work very nicely. Sadly, though, it's not going to happen for JJ Leto here this afternoon. Let's go down to Calvin Fish. No, in fact, we're going to stay with the overhead pictures of the Audi being pushed back into the garage there. Now, Graham Tyler's worked his way down pit lane.
The Miracle and the Corvette pits at the moment. We're expecting both the Corvettes in. Pits will still be closed at the moment, so anybody who's already in is in. But
let's go to Doug Kelly, who's down at Panos. The Brian Sellers 51 car is there, and that doesn't look very healthy either, Doug. Doug Kelly?
Yes.
Doesn't look very healthy down there in the Panos pit.
I'm with Ed Triolo here in the Panos pit. Be right there. Ed, from your vantage point, what happened? Eddie, from your vantage point, what happened?
Well, from what we can determine, it looks like he was hit by JJ. We don't know too much more than that.
Seriousness.
Well, what's happened, Doug, you can't see this, but it looks like there was a spinning 24 car over the top of the brow of the hill, and when there was then collected in turn, 24 goes around, Ian Barsh just loses it, and Brian Sellers comes into the same part of the track. He clips him. Looks like he might have got a little bit of a push from behind there. And JJ Leto's in there as well with absolutely nowhere to go. It's just going round turn number 9 and down into Thunder Road. And there's a lot of damage there in the pit lane for the Panos. Under full course caution. We'll be back with more in a few moments' time from Mid-Ohio. And the P2 leaders stranded out in the circuit. Let's have a quick word with Doug Feehan.
Doug Feehan, we saw a dramatic change of position there during the pit stop. What's your view on that one?
Well, it was pretty clear that the 3-car kind of stopped, tried to stop short, didn't get short enough, didn't get the car turned time, and so the 4-car was holding them up and caused for a position change. That was a tight finish, and I don't know, there's some talk of perhaps a penalty being inflicted on the 4-car, so we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Thank you, Doug.
Tom Chilton's charge has come to an end. He'd got the gap down to 7 seconds. It also looks as though James Weaver's got some problems as well, and may have been, he's got some dirt on the car, and Tom Chilton lost it at the, well, certainly the 8 car lost it going into the horseshoe, and it may be that Chilton's gone off in the same place. And, well, how much drama do you want in the closing stages? Tom Chilton, no, in fact, has continued. It was the Mazda that went off at the keyhole, as we have 2 minutes to the checkered flag, and sad to say that we're not going to get a P2 car rolling at the end of this, but Guy Cosmo has done enough to win it. He's got laps in hand, and neither of the other P2 cars are still rolling. Bad luck for the Zytek, because Tom Chilton, as I said, got down into just 7 seconds. The crews and everyone are poised, watching as we're counting down the last few minutes of this race, the last minute, indeed, of this race at Mid-Ohio. James Weaver has slowed right down as the rain is falling very heavily now. He's trying to get across the line so he doesn't have to do too much more in terms of lap. He's going to have to do, I think, one more lap, as we've got just on a minute remaining. Dennis Paul is looking down the track and has the white flag in his hand. Well, this is great stuff by Weaver as he's easing right back. There's no need for him to cross the line unless he wants to. Well, he's going to. He'll take the white flag, and it's 1 to go for James Weaver in an incident-packed race at Mid-Ohio for the 3rd round of the American Le Mans Series that's seen JJ Leto and the front end of his car obliterated when he was caught up in an accident. But before the race even started, what drama in qualifying as the Zytek team came across from the UK and took the lap and qualifying record by almost a full second. Hayanari Shimoda and Tom Chilton have been stars in this race. Unfortunately, Tom Chilton will end the race in the gravel at the far side of the circuit as he was chasing down Frank Bieler. He's going to hold on to 4th position overall, but they'll have wanted so much more than that. But it's going to be an historic 1-2 for Dyson. James Weaver and Andy Wallace, they haven't had a clean run either, fighting back from laps down, fighting back from problems, and there's the stricken car of Tom Chilton in the middle of the 4, 5 and 6 complex, and Tom's got a bit of a walk back from there. The rain is coming, as you can see. These experienced drivers are taking life relatively easy. There's no desperately close gaps other than between the 2 Corvettes, and as that's a team thing, I'm sure that Doug Feehan will have issued the edict that they hold position as they come to the line, and indeed that looks to be the situation. James Weaver will win P1. It'll be 2nd place for Andy Wallace in the team car. Olivier Beretta and Ollie Gavin will win GT1, and Romain Dumas will win GT2. Great result for Alex Job Racing, and a better one perhaps as well for Jörg Bergmeister in 2nd place. First 1-2 finish ever for Dyson. There's the checkered flag, and it's taken by James Weaver, and Graham Tyler's in the pits.
Yeah, got Butch Leitzinger at the back of the pits. All of the rest of the Dyson crew are up on the wall, but Butch choosing to sit out the drama at the back here. Great result. It finally made the 1-2 for the team as well.
Oh, it's just perfect. You know, I've just been in stitches here trying to will the time away. And, you know, thank God James was in the car, because I wouldn't want to have to be dealing with this. That was really difficult driving.
This is the most dramatic finish to a race that we've had for a while, and we hear that Andy's just finished over in second place as well. Another big smile. First across to congratulate you, though, was Dave Mirage from the champion team.
Oh, he's always a gentleman. You know, we really like racing champion because, you know, whoever wins, there's never hard feelings. And we always appreciate the other's professionalism.
But you must go and join the rest of your team, I'm sure. Have a quick word, hopefully with Chris Dyson in a minute too. Should be with Doug Kelly somewhere.
Be here with second place for Chris, an historic day for Dyson Racing.
It's fantastic. It's great to be back up 1-2. You know, this is what we come out to do, and it's great to see us get a result. You know, we worked incredibly hard. We've tested here a lot in Mid-Ohio, and you know, it's great to win this race. This was a hard-fought affair, and you can't say it was a gift from anybody. We fought hard the whole way, and Audi gave us a good fight, and Zytek. So I'm very pleased for everybody on the team.
Well, you had a 1-2 for a while at Road Atlanta, and it didn't happen, but it comes finally to fruition today.
They only ask you how you finish after the checkered flag fly.
Organizers were hoping for a red, white, and blue headline at the 73rd 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Welcome back to this best of 2005 in the ALMS Seasons Review. We're going to see the best pictures of the next two rounds coming up. First, we go to Lime Rock, Virginia, with a hot and wild restart, before we'll be then heading on to round 5, which took place, of course, at Sears Point. It'll take us to the halfway stage of the ALMS Seasons Review.
Begins in earnest. Welcome back, everybody. And we are green. Pace car is in. Green flies. Weaver on it big time. Lado defending. Pirro trying to get underneath Weaver. And it looked like it was going to develop, and it ended up going real mellow, and it immediately gets some traffic. That is a car that had just left pit lane. Everybody slides through, but well, both Pirro and Weaver were looking antsy.
It was Pirro who could have made that very interesting had he not given up on that ugly-looking scenario going into West Bend. All three of those guys would be parked right now. Take another look at this. I mean, it was an aggressive start by both Weaver and Pirro. Watch Pirro on the third car frame. Almost there could have been contact.
Well, Weaver almost got the jump, almost got to the back of Lado, didn't he?
And there, an aggressive move by Weaver again to outbrake Pirro. That's James for you. He was my teammate for a long time, and that's the most aggressive driving guy you'll ever meet.
I've never seen anybody, I don't think, as aggressive and decisive in traffic either. I mean, he's by you before you know he's there sometimes, it seems.
That remarkable feel for that car. I mean, he does all the chassis setup and work with that, and he's just got an uncanny knack of knowing what he can get away with, and he puts it right to the limit.
Ironically, though, when I was talking to Rob Dyson, he said that going to the Michelin tire, because of what you're talking about, it's actually caught James out maybe more than others, because when the car takes the set on the Michelins, they react differently than they do other the Goodyears did. They said James was so comfortable with that set for the Goodyear tires, it's taken him just a little bit to get used to it. As we go back to GT2, there's the number 31 Porsche, which made a very late stop under the yellow. Bergmeister is behind the wheel, and that car has worked its way up into the third spot, and it is now, as a result of that stop, has slipped back just a little. Actually, it still sits third, so they played that strategy very nicely with that late yellow. But there at the number 51 Panos, still in the hands of Marino Franchitti. Bank of Scotland entry, and there's the number 50 entry. That is our GT2 leader, and Robin Liddell now behind the wheel of that Diablo Grande entry.
Robin Liddell, of course, we were talking to him, and although he's not divulging anything about the aerodynamics on that car, he is doing a really good job behind the wheel now.
Obviously, that team running Pirelli tires, and they have been very pleased, they say, with the work and the progress that Pirelli has made. And obviously, that package is pretty decent, having pulled off that great win at Road Atlanta. And look at this, we've got a move for the lead, and looks like Weaver is through.
No surprise to me whatsoever. He will be so uncannily hounding if you're, you know, it'd be better. If I was in the Audi, I would let Weaver through right now and just follow him, because him behind you is not pretty.
Well, he wasted no time. As you said, just a few laps after that restart, he was by. We're going to go back and show you another look at it in its entirety here.
Nice long shot up the front straightaway, looking down at the corner we call Big Bend because of the length of that corner. A good outbraking to the inside, no tire lockup at all. Great job. Nips to the inside. And look how much that little car bounces around on this rough racetrack.
Obviously runs lighter than the Audis, and it looks as though Pirro, well, thought about it at any rate, but it looked like in that...
That is Bob. That's Bob Leitzner, longtime veteran sports car champion, telling James Weaver where he is on the track in position to where the Audis are on time.
Yeah, Bob was a GTU champion back in the day, very talented driver, but it looked to me like on that pass, it almost looked like Lato thought Weaver might try something, moved over, Weaver never moved, Lato came back, then Weaver went.
Yeah, well, at least all the guys on the Audi team are quite aware of James Weaver and his persona. You know, they're not going to think he's given up.
And then you watch his pace down through that diving turn and the like, and with clear track, Weaver can throw down some very quick laps, and that last lap, a 49.1 second lap for Weaver. Calvin.
Well, his teammate Butch Leitzinger was checking in with the boss, Rob Dyson, and Butch. Great opening stint there, run second, but James on this restart has just been sensational, forcing his way to the front.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that James was going to be something to reckon with, but I didn't think he'd do it that quickly. Actually, I missed it. I was apologizing to Peter for being so slow, and then I heard a big cheer, and everyone saw that James was in the lead. That's pretty impressive, because I thought on the lap we seemed to be a couple tenths off, but the Weaver factor far us ahead.
This racetrack, very difficult. How is traffic out there this afternoon, Butch? Is always a problem here?
Well, traffic's huge here. Where a couple times I gained probably 4 seconds in a lap, and just as many I lost 4 or 5 seconds in a lap. So you really extend yourself to try to get past the cars, because if you don't, you lose so much momentum, and you just lose all contact.
James Weaver's certainly not losing any momentum, Greg, and Butch Leitzinger, well, he's looking for his second major sports car victory in the last 4 days.
Oh, Weaver almost made a mistake there trying to get greedy around Maserati, locks the brakes up because he's under pressure from the Audi. Pirro now wanting a piece of him. I've driven for both of these teams. I know both the different drivers and so forth, and Weaver told me one thing about these new tires that he's working with is, unlike the other tires, he can't drive as aggressively, if you can believe that, because of the tire itself doesn't warrant him letting it slide the back of the car like he used to do.
Yeah, he came up behind that Maserati and locked up, slid wide, was lucky not to have Lato go underneath, then Lato got balked a little bit, and look at the room Weaver is giving.
Well, that's that cutting and dicing thing that Dyson's get it, that Weaver likes to do. He likes to just really throw the car back and forth, try to confuse the people around him. And I tell you, it works to a certain degree. When you see those cars darting around, you think that, something's gone wrong.
So what, he's doing it to hopefully maybe get a little bit wider berth or somebody chasing?
Doing that. Sometimes he'll do it out of anger just because he doesn't like the other guy's maneuver that he's passing. He'll chop him like that just to be aggressive. He's very aggressive.
Boy, and right there, he gets the pass done, and that's going to hold up Lato, and that is that give and take that happens in traffic. Weaver built up the margin, got caught behind the Maserati. Lato had him, and now Lato gets held up just a little bit. And boy, I'll tell you what, the video game here at Lime Rock continues. It is amazing. We're going to switch you over to the number 79 J3 Porsche.
This will sound a lot racier than that turbo. that if you just hold on a second, the lead cars are about to come right up the inside of us here, I think. And there they are. Here comes the lead car, J.J. Lato. This traffic's going to be a problem.
And Weaver has gone by Pirro as we're on board with Pirro. So Weaver is part done with the plan. And take you back and show you how that happened. Weaver right now is a man possessed. Pirro works his way through traffic. Weaver more traffic in front. Diving turn, he gets through. Pirro comes down onto the front straight. Look at Weaver to the wall, 3 abreast. So he's trying to move up. Pirro. Weaver got it. Weaver has gone by Lato. Weaver is on the lead lap.
Okay, now spin one of those Porsches out, put it, and you'll be on the same lap if that caution comes out.
11 and a half minutes remaining, 11 and a half.
That's Bob Leitzinger giving Weaver the count. How much time he's got to make up a lap.
Any caution right now would be just quite a catastrophic. Not catastrophic, would be exactly what Weaver needs.
Meanwhile, Pirro all over the back of Lato in traffic. And when we were on board for the Sounds of Speed, we saw Pirro get crossed up a couple of times. Clearly, they are on it.
Oh, they're definitely on it, no question about it. We're riding at the back of that pack, and I just noticed that the lead cars were about to catch us. Now, these guys really on full song right now. Without a caution, James has no way of catching up to this group again, but a caution will change the whole picture of the thing. Weaver running 2 seconds a lap faster than either one of these Audis right now. So that softer front compound tire really turning in some good lap times right now.
And by the way, I do want to say for the J3 Motorsports Porsche we rode on board with kind of a breakthrough year for them. At Sebring had the best ever finish, a second. They added a podium in Mid-Ohio, had some problems at Road Atlanta. But for Justin Jackson and Tim Sugden, who was on board, was just amazing. We're going to go back now and show you Weaver's pass on Pirro, and you thought the one to get around Lato was nice.
Downhill run, big downhill run, and look at Pirro goes defensive all the way to pit lane. It looks like he's going in the pits right there. James is up behind him, and this is a bad place to try to break from. James knows it, goes out wide, slices across. There's no way, buddy. Good job, James. That was a good one.
Boy, swings out to the line, a little lighter car, brakes, and
it's over with for James. A 16.
At a crawl.
16 has broken something. And he was giving it all he had right then.
Trying to nurse it around, James.
We understand from the Dyson crew it may be a throttle linkage issue for James Weaver. Peter Weston trying to talk him around. What heartbreak, he gave 100% today.
Not working. Just changed position on it. It's gone back to up, and I can't get it to work at all, mate. Flicking the switch forward, James. 3 or 4 on the map switch. See if that makes any difference.
I wonder if this is a throwback to those problems with ignition they had trying to get the car restarted.
Well, if he gets a caution, this is not the one he wanted.
No.
I'll tell you that for sure.
But it almost sounded like there was some ignition issues. There's the leader in the P2 category, Chris McMurray.
Could be actually a fuel issue because they're talking about turning the map. You heard him say, switch the map sensor. There's James, no name straightaway, crawling along. It's over for James either way. Watch this race for the first place out here. I'll tell you what, Emmanuel Pirro does not want to come in second.
Working down through the backside of the track here. Coming up on traffic once again.
Fastest car right now on that lap, Pirro for sure. No team orders here, no team orders. They're going to go for the finish, trying to battle each other right down to the wire, and there's not that much time left to go.
It's just great, compelling video to watch as these guys are racing and working traffic.
Traffic can be the deciding factor between the two Audis as to who wins this. There's James right there on the uphill. He's come to an abrupt stop, and he's kind of in a dangerous place. I mean, he's to the inside, which is all he could do with that car. Now, whether or not they warrant that worthy of bringing out a double yellow or not, I don't know. James done everything he can. Car's over with. These two, oh, and that Corvette was really hurt him. That again is up the uphill, like I said. He's off to the right, which is...
I can let it roll backwards to get out of the way. When you get a clear space, back it up into the grass. Back it into the grass.
Good call there. Yeah.
That's about as sporting as it gets. Obviously, had he stayed there, there may have been a little choice but to go full course. And nicely done there, got it out of the way. That's a fairly safe spot, should be no problem, so he can let this race unfold.
Still trying to get the car running, trying to talk his way through it with his chief mechanic. I don't think it's going anywhere.
Well, this has some serious implications. With their win at Mid-Ohio, obviously Weaver and Leitzinger were second in the points. And so that's fairly serious implications, as we talked about at the top of the show.
We're going to have to switch off and get him home. But James, stay with the car. Stay with the car. With the car, mate. Put it there, cool down a bit. Recycle them afterwards, and have another stab at it.
Well, it's been running, though. He's had the engine on the whole time. He's saying it's getting hot. Now I'm going to have to switch it off. Recycle the master switch will reset the computer, the ECU. They're trying to make it do something just to get it out of where it's at, but it's not going to make any difference to the overall effect of this race. And one of the lead Audi right there, J.J. Lato, got balked, huge got balked by the Maserati, and now has Pirro all over the back of him again to contend.
Problem is that Maserati, when it goes to that V12 throttle, it's got some grunt. You can see that it pulled them a little bit for a minute there. They both get by as we hop on board the Maserati, but that allowed that margin that Lato had opened up over Pirro to evaporate. And by the way, the Maserati right now sits fourth in GT1, but only a few seconds behind Johnny Mollem. With a never-ending Big Bend.
This is where the Maserati went swimming yesterday, straight off there by those signs. Or the other day, I should say.
Here's the climbing turn.
Here in the 16 James Weaver car, linkage problem, some sort of linkage. Calvin?
Well, we see the two Audis out front, and we know at Sebring they allowed them to race there, and certainly the same case here today, which is great stuff. We've got the two Audis running flat out. We see a little bit of traffic. Anything can happen here. So Dave Mirage has said, let the boys go run. Good stuff indeed.
Well, our Mobil 1 move of the race is actually a double header, and we've got to go with them as the nod for the Mobil 1 move of the race. We want to show it to you. It was those two great passes by James Weaver. First, taking second away from Pirro with that stunning move. And then getting back on the lead lap, coming down underneath J.J. Lato in that scrum of traffic. And look at move J.J. over just a little bit to let him know I'm coming through, babe.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that lap is when the linkage broke. There is James, who is out of the car. Safety team guys with him. James is fine, no problem. He just can't get a gear.
Well, if it was, is it gear linkage?
Yeah, he's got a linkage problem. The crowd acknowledges him, and he put on a good show. James Weaver is a fan favorite. Oh, we've had a wreck here. One of the painters is involved.
And the J3 Motorsports Porsche. Look at the left rear tire in that car. Looks. I guess it was just a reflection. I thought it was.
That was on the exit of Big Bend, right there before you get to the left-hander, riding with Tim Sutton now. Both those cars have been out in the weeds.
There's Johnny Mollem in the GT1 third place at Semco Saline.
Roughly 10 minutes to go, and like they say.
And that's the Maserati. That's your battle there. But meanwhile, let's go back and see if we can sort out what happened here.
Wow, it just spins. I don't know if that was oil or whatever. Then backs right around. Kind of an accident avoidance situation. That's the braking. You see everybody checking up. A little punt right there. Puts the J3 Motorsports around. Not a big wreck, but one of those things that happens in the line run.
And the two leaders rocketing through that on the onboard. Stuff comes up so quick here. You're driving along, and suddenly there's cars everywhere, and you're just upon them.
That could have been a result of that oil still on the outside. They went in there pretty hot. There's the two lead cars split now by a Porsche. Actually, it's not a Porsche that's between.
Pirro, again, it's the worst of traffic at this stage.
JJ's got the hammer down. He wants to win this, no doubt about it.
By the way, with the problems for Weaver, a remarkable story building as well. GT1 leader is Ollie Gavin, 3rd overall. But here's the 63 of Mollem, and there's the battle. That is the Maserati, who is coming after. This is for 3rd in GT1, the final podium spot.
Look at Mollem move to the inside, not giving it up to the Maserati. That opens the door. Phoenix wants to stick his nose in here, too.
Well, a couple laps back, I glanced at the monitor, and Mollem turned a lap 2 seconds quicker than the Maserati, and it didn't look like they were in serious traffic, but they must have been, because that margin evaporated in a huge hurry, and we are 2 minutes remaining.
Which is essentially 2 laps for these boys, as they got 2 more times around this mile-and-a-half circuit to get the job done.
Keep in mind, the Maserati doesn't run for points, but it does run for prestige. And Maserati, of course, and the factory, of course, would love to have a car on the podium.
A lot of changes been made to that Celine, the Sumco car, some 50-plus changes for this weekend, and it's doing better. It's nice to see it running well again.
1.5 minutes. Keep going, buddy.
Here's the count, 1.5 minutes, so probably 2 laps ago. Remember, they will throw the white flag when it's underneath a lap to go.
It's Johnny Mollem's radio you were listening in on. A little encouragement there. Keep it going.
Well, Babini may have a reputation as being a little wild, but he's quick.
Well, you look at Mollem's car stepping out, too, from behind, looking at that windshield. Watch the back of Celine. It's not steady by any means. It's moving left, moving right, up and down. So they're both giving it their all with this 1.5 lap to go. That's a good look right there toward the chicane.
Well, we heard Borchler report earlier that he was bouncing so badly going into 1, it was tough for him to downshift. Getting a report, white flag next time by for the leaders as we're on board this battle in GT1. And earlier in the week, Mollem said he thought they had too much rear brake bias and the rears were locking and throwing the car sideways, and it was the bump. So they've been fighting that since day 1 here.
That team has been working very, very hard, like I say, to get back on track. 50 some odd changes since the last outing to make it to where it is right now. They still don't have it exactly like they want, but maybe Lime Rock isn't as suited for that car either. It's a very rough racetrack. You surely wouldn't want to tune the car to this place.
And here we go. J.J. Leto coming down the hill. White flag coming out. 1 lap to go. And there's the margin. Leto over Pirro.
And traffic is going to play into the hand of J.J. Leto. He's right at the tail end of a bunch of pretty quick cars.
Back on board this battle for the podium spot. 3rd in GT1. Babini chasing Mollem. Maserati chasing Celine as they're coming down to begin their last lap.
Right now, you try to set up a run on that corner right there to get a run down the straightaway. Already, you see Johnny Mollem's moving to the inside. Not going around me that way.
Virtually identical lap times that time, Doris.
Yeah, but they got traffic in front of them, too, as well, Greg. They've got a GT2 car in front of them that might slow Johnny Mollem up. If he zigs instead of zags, he could be all over.
Meanwhile, onto the front straight, J.J. Leto going for yet another win this season. Checker flag is out. He takes it. Pirro comes home in 2nd. So another 1-2 finish for champion. We go back on board here. Mollem working traffic. Babini trying to get through. He gets squeezed. That's it.
The 24 is just determined who will win that by getting in between them.
Meanwhile, yeah, there's our GT2 winner, and Alex Job has won at Lime Rock. Meanwhile, back on board with the Maserati. You can see Mollem now, big margin.
Right, you see Babini, after the Porsche got between him, just got out of the throttle knowing there's no place left to go. Somebody step on something?
Yeah, man, great job.
And I think that yell, not just for a podium, but for survival on this very bumpy track for that team. When we come back, we'll visit with our winners. Who stepped on a duck?
Welcome to Sonoma, California. Infineon Raceway and the Infineon Technologies Grand Prix of Sonoma, presented by Ravenswood Winery. It's the 5th round of the American Le Mans Series and half distance for this classic challenge. here in America. 2.53 miles, a 24-car grid, fast and furious yesterday in qualifying, which saw Andy Wallace smash the lap record for Dyson, a full second quicker than last year's mark. On the outside of the front row, JJ Leto will take the wheel for the first stint in the number 1 ADT champion Audi. Butch Leitzinger behind his teammate in the 16 car on the inside of row 2. Emmanuel Pirot fills out the 4th position in the front 2 rows. All 4 of those front qualifiers underneath the existing lap record for qualifying yesterday. Graham Tyler is the other voice you'll hear in this broadcast. He's down in the pit lane, and whilst not as hot as yesterday afternoon when we qualified, our Puma temperature test says things are warming up down there, Graham.
Yeah, the Puma trainers on my feet already subjected to 110 degrees on the tarmac. And the air temperature from this morning's cool 68 has made its way up to 85 balmy degrees in Northern California.
Carrying on through the classes, the 37 Intersport racing car back in the series after missing Lime Rock a couple of weeks ago has claimed pole position in the hands of Clint Field, paired with Liz Halliday, only her 3rd outing in the prototype, and she's been given the honour of starting the car. In GT1, Ron Fellows with a stellar lap yesterday, just pipped teammate Ollie Gavin 1 and 2 for the CompuWare GM Chevy Corvettes. Ollie Gavin and Olivia Beretta consistently the fastest in all sessions at the race week, except the one that counted, and that was qualifying yesterday afternoon. Improvement by Andrea Bertolini and Fabrizio Di Simone, 4th position for them, just behind Johnny Morlam and Terry Borchella, 3rd position in LMGT1. A little bit of a different look in terms of the times to the GT2 category. Timo Bernhard snatched pole position from Jörg Bergmeister by the blink of an eye, 0.079 of a second. Then there was quite a gap back to Lonnie Pechnik in 3rd position for the Flying Lizards. Bill Oberlin upholds Pino's honours in the cars that he shares with Robin Liddell in 4th position in class. That's how they stand at the moment. You'll see that the cars will form up. We're live on MotorsTV across the UK and Europe. Welcome along this Sunday evening to a picture-perfect morning. It's just before 11 o'clock, just after 11 o'clock here, in fact, in Sonoma. And JJ Leto will just pull up alongside Andy Wallace. A lot of discussion on the grid earlier on about how this might play out with these 2 real fighters on the front row, and the 2 Audis and the 2 Dysons in line astern in team orders. Watch out for the Dodge pace car to pull off, and Andy gets a real wiggle on, and that's going to cost him. It's green flag. Now, can JJ get around the outside? He doesn't have to get right past the leader. He just has to get up alongside him, because at the top of the hill, the first turn is the left-hander, and then the right, and he's done it. Yes, JJ Leto's got through, and there's a touch there between Pirot and Butch Leitzinger in... Oh, he's turned him around. He's turned him around side by side. Butch Leitzinger finds himself now having to wait for the whole field to go through. And it looked like the engine was stopped there. Butch punching the button with his left thumb. Ahead of us is 2 hours and 45 minutes of action, and it started early in the 5th round of the American Le Mans Series. JJ Leto then nicks the lead away from Andy Wallace, exactly what the Dyson boys didn't want to happen. And worse news for the Poughkeepsie-based team is that the second car has ended up facing the wrong direction in between 2 and 3. And it looks to me as if we've steered green. We have. And this is what happened. There was a bit of jiggery-pokery between Pirot and Leitzinger up the inside. They were side by side. There was racing room there, you know. Oh, dear. That's a racing incident. I can't imagine either of those drivers getting called for what I've seen there. I stand to be corrected by the race officials who are just along to my right here. They're having a look at the same pictures that we're seeing on the big screens and on MotorsTV. How did it look from inside when Andy Wallace made a complete Horlicks at the start, spun up the Michelins, and there was where JJ Leto just squirted ahead of him. And this is where the trouble started, because it was side by side through turn number 2. A bit of dirt taken on the left-hand side, but this is the bigger problem. Just a little tap on the front end, and round goes Butch. Sensibly didn't try to rejoin at that stage. Lap number 1 is in the record books. JJ Leto leads by 0.3 of a second from Wallace, Pirro, Jeff Bucknam up into third position. So that means the P2 category has gone the way of Miracle. And where is the 37 car? Answer, way down. Liz Halliday dropped down to 10th position in this 37 car. She doesn't have a lot of experience in this type of car, and so it may well be she's just pacing herself in at the start and not getting involved in any of those little incidents that can so easily ruin a race. In GT1, Ron Fellows leads by half a second from teammate Ollie Gavin. Johnny Molam is just 0.3 of a second behind the yellow machine, and Gavin goes for the lead at the top end of the circuit at the north side, and he's got it done at turn number 7. Ollie Gavin a bit later on the brakes, just a little dab, and comes back down towards us now, and that's a change of position in GT1. The number 4 car with the black shade band is into the lead, and problems early on for Brian Sellers and the 51 Panos. Graham Tyler, that car was fast in warm-up this morning, but not fast now.
Yeah, it's the problem with the power steering. They've had to take the hood off. They've taken the engine air forcing system in, out, as well as a large duct that funnels air through to the engine, and they're getting them to just turn the engine over, but it is a leak in the power steering system that's causing the problem, John.
Graham Tyler reporting from down in the Panos pit there. And bad news for Brian Sellers and Marino Franchitti, who have had their fair share of bad luck this weekend. A prop shaft failure stranded that car out in one of the practice sessions, and they missed a whole hour of setup time. The GT1 battle is phenomenal at the moment. Ollie Gavin has just taken the lead at the north end of the circuit, but first through to 5th, they're virtually all on the same piece of track, and it's Corvette, a Semco Celine, and we've got a pits are closed. We must be going yellow. We are. We've gone full course caution. Now, what has caused that? Off has gone the 78 J3 car at the exit of the carousel, turn number 6, and that has definitely been. That's Pierre Aretos at the wheel of that car. That's definitely rejoined. That's not the cause of it. Turn 11, I'm here, is the problem. That someone's clipped the tyres at turn 11 and moved them onto the track. And there are the offending items. The trademark colours of Sonoma here at Infineon Raceway, yellow and blue. The curb's the same. And someone has moved, impressively so, to be fair, a whole bunch of tyres too close to the racing line. And when I used the phrase a whole bunch of tyres, I think it was acceptable in that case. As you can see, they are well on the racing line. We've got an impromptu chicane here. Now, if only the boys at F1 had done something like that, the whole Indianapolis thing would have been avoided. No question of having to slow the cars down here, though. It's our first full course caution as we're on lap number 4. Graham Tyler is in the pit lane watching some work going on that 51 car, Graham.
Yes, they're still trying to resolve this leak in the power steering. For the moment, of course, the pit lane is closed. Whenever we have a full course caution, until the field is brought under control by the pace car, the pit lane is closed. But the 51 car can continue to be worked on because they were in before this closure of the pit lane. If you bring a car in accidentally while the pit lane is closed, that's fine, but you may not work on it until the pit is reopened. So they just have to park the car up and wait, or wave it through and let it go around for another lap. This early into the event, it's unlikely, I think, that many people would take advantage of wanting to make an early stop. It's really too early to justify
pits are open, Graham,
for any particular reason, but the pit lane is now open, so next time round we'll see if anyone does take up the opportunity, maybe for one of the 2-car teams to put 2 different cars onto 2 different strategies. For example, those who have suffered at the moment, like Butch Leitzinger, may be able to get some advantage by changing their fuel strategy now.
Let's have a quick look at the rundown of the positions in the classes. In GT2, Timo Bernhard leads from pole position. He's got behind him Jörg Bergmeister in second place for the Peterson White Lightning car, and in third place, Flying Lizards driver Lonnie Pechnik. 1, 2, 3, and indeed 4, Bill Oberlin for Panos, exactly as they started the 5th round of the American Le Mans Series 2005. Ollie Gavin has assumed the lead in the number 4. That's the black sun-stripped version of the GM Chevy Corvette, ahead of his teammate Ron Fellows in second, Johnny Molam in third, Andrea Bertolini for Maserati in fourth position, Ryan DL in fifth place, and those cars all absolutely together on the track. In P2, Jeff Bucknam leads the P2 category after on lap number 4. He assumed the lead early on. Liz Halliday is in second place, but under pressure from Jamie Bach in the Mazda, and it's JJ Leto for Audi ahead of Dyson's Andy Wallace and Emmanuel Pirot in third. That's how it stands in our first full course caution after 4 laps here at Sonoma. Marco Werner leads the race, 5th round of the American Le Mans Series, live on MotorsTV, and the last pit stop for the number 2 car that he shares with Frank Bieler. He's already flipped the driver tag as he crosses the line, so Bieler's going to get in, and Graham Tyler is in the pit lane.
Yeah, no, Marco's staying in the car, and it's going to be fuel only and a quick wipe of the fly screen at the front, and inspection by the Michelin guy just to ensure that the tyres are up to the last 40 minutes. And he gives a thumbs up to Brad Kettler, so the stop board is cleared to one side. Brad just standing impassionately in front of the car, waiting for the fuel to finish. Off he goes. Manga, 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 goes the pit lane limiter again, and we're away for Marco Werner back in.
Oh, he's hit something! He's hit something on the way out of the pits, and he's off! He's hit Ryan DL in the number 5 car. He pulled out and got wiped out by DL as he went out of the pit lane. Looked like there was a wheel got off somewhere, but it wasn't one of the Audis, as it's not Frank Bieler in the car. It is, in fact, of course, still Emmanuel Pirot. DL has a left rear suspension breakage, the bottom toe link. Well, I did mention earlier on that it's a rather odd exit here, because you come onto the track out of the pit lane. The Audis have the last pits, so they are straight on it. We need to listen to see what's wrong.
Let's take the right side and damage.
Thinks he's got damage right side. That was a big impact. The Audi looking relatively unscathed. Pits are closed. Pits are closed. We've got a full course caution because Ryan DL is almost so far off course that he'd have to buy a ticket to get back in. So now the team must tell him, well, DL's got the car going with a very deranged rear end, and fair play to him for that. Hard to say without, it's Alex Figge at the wheel of that car, rather. Now he's kept off the track, and let's go down to the let's go back down to the pit lane and speak to the Pacific Coast Motorsports team. I'm just waiting to see if we're going to get a look at what exactly happened before we... The car doesn't feel good, says the leader, Marco Werner. Emmanuel Pirot, Marco Werner in second place. Let's go down to Tyler Talovic, who's the man behind Pacific Coast Motorsports. Doug?
Tyler Talovic, from your vantage point, what took place? What happened?
It looked like a car came straight out of the pits and got right into Alex. Didn't look like Alex even had a chance to see him. Punted us off. We went way off course. We've got some damage on the left rear, and hopefully we'll be able to get the car back in here, get it fixed, and get back out. But I've got to look again and see who that was who came out of the pits like that.
What did they tell you on the radio? What did you hear?
Alex says that I hurt his back pretty bad going over the bumps out there, and he didn't want to get stuck in that ditch. He was trying to get across out there, so we're hopeful we can get it back in here.
Thank you, Tyler. John, back to you.
Yeah, we've just having a look at what exactly happened. The Marco Werner gets on the power. He's off to the right-hand side. He's already on the blend line, beyond the blend line, and Alex Figge, committed to the corner from somewhere beyond that, had absolutely nowhere to go. He's turned in and found an Audi there, and well, I'm not sure that really anyone is to blame for that. The Audi gets up to speed so very quickly. Normally a car coming out of the pit lane wouldn't be going that quick, but on the last pit they don't even engage the pit lane limiter. He's just spinning the wheel up. Now on board Alex Figge's car, he's turned in, he can't see, and then all of a sudden bang, He's hit by the Audi and gets turned around. The camera is on the roof of that car, but the pit wall on the left-hand side meant that Alex Figge would not have been able to see that Audi coming out of the pit lane. And well, fortunate to hear that he's all right. The front end of the right front of the lead car now has locked up. That is not an engine problem. That is because the right front wheel is locked solid underneath the wheel arch there. You'll be able to see it as it comes in. In fact, he's going to be lucky if he doesn't lose it. The tyre's already gone, I believe, and the right front wheel locked solid and not turning. Remnants of Michelin rubber is just being pulled off the titanium rubbing strip on the right-hand side at the front on the ground, and Marco Werner then having given up the lead on that. The good news is that Alex Figge is out of the car. Well, I feel sorry for Pacific Coast Motorsport. That is just a racing incident. Didn't we just say earlier on how odd it is how you are filtering in from the pit lane exactly onto the apex of turn number 1, which is a very fast blind corner, and with just 35 minutes to go, we have only our second full course caution of the afternoon, and everybody is going to come in because it's getting close to final stop time. Chris Dyson gets a free stop because he'll make up a lap on the leader. If he needs to stop, which he does, he can come in. The pits are open, and he is coming around now, and everyone, expect to see just about everyone dive into the pit lane. Chris Dyson in third place is way off the back of the train at the moment. He's only in turn number 7 as the pace car comes through across the start-finish line. Into the pit lane comes Marco Werner. Down in the ADT champion Audi pit is Graham Tyler, and Graham, it's going to be difficult for the limping car because its team car's already there.
Well, yeah, the team car is going to be in and out, I think, by the time they're just fueling in Frank Bieler's car. I can see the Werner car making its way down now, and it's going to be very close, but they're going to have to let the Werner car turn in front and just avoid taking the ankles off, and beautifully done. They just get that car to a stop while Bieler takes the car out. Smoke coming out from underneath the wrecked right front corner, and yes, you're quite right, there was absolutely no movement there. Oh dear, no, the whole right front corner is flapping in the breeze, so it's going to be bodywork off, and when we get that off, we'll see that the top wishbone is in several pieces and distinctly bent, so it's going to be a new front corner to rebuild on this car. At a previous round this year, we saw similar damage to the other side of the car and pretty much wrote it off, but in fact the ADT team turned the car around very quickly. I think it was at Mid-Ohio, because they did the job very rapidly indeed, and so we had a similar incident here for Pirro, must be 2 or 3 years ago now, and it's going to be the right front corner which is being changed on this number 1 Audi, and it's in the meanwhile we've got the 20 car in for its scheduled stop, the Mazda in as well, taking advantage, so Chris Dyson could be the gainer out of all of this, because although he won't make up the 2 laps of disadvantage that he had, he will make up one of them, and down in that Dyson pit we got Doug Kelly.
Chris Dyson remaining in the car, fuel, 4 tires, and now the car appears to have stalled. Trying to fire it up. Now Chris Dyson is off, but a little time taken.
Yeah, no problem, it's under yellow, he doesn't lose anything there. What we've got to look at is where the respective positions of the cars are going to feed back in to the train behind the Dodge pace car. As out goes Tom Weikart's Car Sport America 71 Viper. The work continues on the ADT champion Audi. Pits open, of course, so this is all quite legal. The car just, if you are just joining us, we're on our second full course caution, and the lead car in the hands of Marco Werner, which he shares with JJ Leto. They'd had a good day, Leto taking the lead on the second corner. Amazing, isn't it, that where the car took the lead from Andy Wallace at the start of the race, in the same place, almost exactly the same spot on the track, was where they met their demise, at least from the lead position. Now Marco Werner still in a long pit lane, and as the cars go through, the wave by is starting. The wave by is starting. Now, what happened to the... what happened was, of course, he collected the number 5 Pacific Coast Motorsport car of Alex Figge. Alex is fine and making his way back to the pit. The car sadly will not go any further. We're starting the wave by, so we're not too far away from getting this one back underway, and 30 minutes to the checkered flag in the Infineon Technologies Grand Prix of Sonoma. It's plenty of action still to come. Don't go too far away.
So let's have a look at the results of the Sears Point round of the ALMS season. And there they are. That's it for this first part of the ALMS season's review. But remember, don't go anywhere. Part 2 still to come. Welcome to part 2 of our American Le Mans Series season review. And from this episode will bring you all the best action from the closing 5 races of the 10-race season. Where to start? Well, where else but in round 6. It's Portland, Oregon, for what turned out to be the craziest race of this year. So, strap yourselves in, sit back, and enjoy.
And working, you can see the layout there of the old festival turns right there. And by the way, we now understand Frank Biela has gone around Marco Werner and picked up 3rd spot. So while earlier it was the Dyson Lolas battling, now it's the Audis battling.
Well, Frankie's got his confidence back. He and Pirro went over to the DTM series. That's the German big sedan car series running for Jost last year. They were not successful, and I think it really knocked Frank's confidence. Even guys at this level, he's won Le Mans numerous times. He's won this championship before. He came back and he wasn't on top of his game. But that win last weekend, I spoke to Graham Taylor, his engineer last weekend, Infineon. He said Frankie's back on his game, and they're showing right now to make a move on Werner. He's obviously pumped up today.
And here's a look at how he was able to sneak by Marco Werner. Coming down the long straight. Watch this.
Traffic again. One of the Panos there. Werner tries to get out, but Frank's got the inside line. Whoa! And he actually got the rear wing there, took a bit of a hit on Frank's car, and then it comes off. So we'll have to see if that has an effect here. He may have lost a little bit of downforce from there. Comes through there. You can see the rear end plate just fly off there.
Actually, that's off Werner's car. It's stuck on Biela's car, but I think it was the one off of Werner's car.
That will have some effect. Those end plates certainly keep the air on top of the main plane of the wing and keep the downforce on the back end of the car. Probably wouldn't hurt it too much. And you're right, it's off the right side of Werner's car, got stuck in Biela's, and then he flicked it wide. So Werner's the guy who's going to struggle with that, and it's probably, you know, he moved, he's a bit more aggressive there and trying to defend position, so it's probably just right that he lost downforce and not Frank in that move.
Well, then I noticed that very next lap as they went through turns 4 and 5, Werner's car skipped out and he really clipped a curb pretty hard as well. So I don't know whether it was the effect of the loss of downforce a little bit or whether he's just pushing that hard. Let's check this out now from the onboard view. See if we can see what may happen here. We're on board with Biela. There you go.
Werner had a big move there with traffic, lost a lot of ground. Frank gets a great run on him down the straightaway. Now they're side by side. To the left of the camera angle we're looking at is Marco Werner. Then Frank gives him a little bit of room. There's the Panos there. He gives him a line, but then Werner comes across, bumps him. That tears off the end plate. Frankie gives him the finger. Nice one. These are teammates, remember.
Well,
number 1 today.
Yep, German, American, doesn't matter. Hand signals are international. And obviously that's an unfortunate thing to see, certainly, and we're sorry that that ended up coming from you, but the emotion of the moment, obviously, Biela not happy with his own teammate coming across on him and instigating contact. It's one thing to defend, it's another thing to scrub into you.
You don't expect, I mean, these guys want to win. They want to win this championship, and but you don't expect to jeopardize, you know, 2 team cars, and I'm sure Dave Mirage was not happy seeing that on the TV cameras down his pit for the ADT champion squad either.
Boy, and right there, Andy Wallace just nipping by the number 31 Peterson White Lightning entry. And right there you see Werner gets held up behind that car a little bit as Biela sneaks through. But, well, when these prototypes come up on these GT2 cars, it is, you better have your decision made and then execute it right now, because any kind of hesitation can end up with a big hit.
You can't vanish. I mean, it's tough. I mean, these guys, like, why don't these guys just get out of the way? Well, they're in their own race. I mean, they're hanging on for dear life. You got your tires going off. It's getting sort of like halfway through the stint right now. They don't have a lot of grip. They can't just get out of the way. The other problem here at Portland is if you run offline, you get the pickup on the tires. As these tires are wearing down, they send off these little marbles of rubber to the outside of the racetrack. If you go to the outside to get out of the way, you then pick that up on your hot tire and you lose grip. And it really takes a lot of laps to try and scrub those clean again and get the grip back. So they need to stay somewhat on line. Otherwise, they're going to suffer in performance.
Well, particularly in turns 4, 5, 6, and in that last corner, you're in it for a very long time, and that's where you scrub off those marbles. We'll be right back. We are back in this battle essentially for second because both Frank Biela and Marco Werner in the 2-1 ADT champion Audis are right there behind Andy Wallace in the North Pole Lola. And so these two guys are very close indeed to Andy Wallace. So let's call it a battle for second for the 3 cars. But it has been some dicey stuff.
It really is. While we're in break, in fact, Werner had another move on Biela trying to reclaim that 3rd position. Right now we've got Butch Leitzinger out front, Wallace second. And Biela really defended well. Look at the speed of Werner through that very fast chicane. Saw traffic there. That is why he really made a lot of ground there. Biela came up on the Panos, so traffic is absolutely key around this racetrack. You get balked a little bit, there's nothing you can do. You can't run over the top of these guys, and Werner made up a lot of ground there under braking for 12.
But I think we also saw a signal of Werner's right now frustration and impatience because he ran up on him, and then he was all over the road trying to figure out what can I do with this, couldn't do anything with it, and got rid of that speed once again, and then obviously that momentum was dead. But just him, the way he was hunting, trying to figure out what can I do with this pace, there was nothing he could do.
There really isn't. I mean, he wants the position back, but he can't jeopardize taking these 2 cars out. The championship is very tight right now. You have to complete 70% of the race distance to get points. So there's no point in taking these cars out. Dyson get a 1-2. They're going to, really reap the big rewards here today in points if the Audis take each other out. So right now, I would think down in the ADT champion Audi camp, there's some finger biting going on down there in terms of what we need to tell these guys as they're in the thick of the battle right now.
Well, JJ, what's happened to your 2 German teammates there?
Well, it was just an incident. Racing incident. There was one slower car. I think that was a Panos on front, and Marco was just getting a slipstream. He wasn't expecting that Frankie was so quick coming out of the last turn. So they just touched each other. Marco lost the end plate, and now he lost the car as well. Now he's shunted. So he's out of the race right now.
We better get back to the booth.
Well, he just got on the brakes really hard there, went to the inside. I mean, it just looked like he locked up the rear tires. I mean, you can do it with the downshift as well. There you see the damage right now to the number 4 car of Beretta, where he got clipped. So some damage on the right rear of Beretta, and this number 4 car just seems to be jinxed. They have speed, but they just can't seem to bring it home. They've had one win this year, but it could have been many more.
They have been very quick. Of course, they did get the win at Le Mans, but still in all, as you said, the problems they've been having this year with all the pace that they've had, and just take a look at it right here. Biela's through, and again, Werner was, I thought he was being very impatient.
Yeah, he just got on the binders and just a little bit of imbalance there. It really took a bit of a hit there. We'll have to see. He's already lost some downforce to the rear of the car. We'll have to see if there's any more damage to the Audi. We know this thing is built like a tank. We've seen this thing run into concrete walls. You see the rear deck there flapping up and down. He looks like he's running at a reduced pace. We expect a pit stop possibly on this car. Runs wide through there. He's going to be coming down Andrew Marriott's way shortly, I believe.
Final turn through 12, and yeah, he's staying way tight to the inside. He is in pit in, and he is in the pits. And damage at that left rear corner. I don't know if it got into the car itself, into the suspension, driveline, or anything like that, but certainly aerodynamically, this could be a bit of a mess, and it looks like he's unbuckling. He may be thinking about getting out.
He is, and we just saw JJ in his, with his helmet off, so he's going to be scrambling down there if they're going to do a driver change here to get ready for Marco to jump out. This won't hurt them too bad in terms of they're in their window for just one more stop to get to the end of this race. 50 minutes in, they can typically go about an hour. It's a 2-hour, 45-minute race. So providing there's not too much damage here, they should be able to complete this event with just one more stop.
Yes, there is damage to the left rear, but it looks mainly just bodywork damage. As you said, JJ had got his helmet on very quickly. He's already in the cockpit of this car. And just looking at this damage here, I don't think that's serious. Obviously, they've lost the rear end plate. They'll probably change the rear deck here. That would be the easiest way to get around this. But obviously, they're going to have a visual check around the rear suspension. So They're having problems actually getting the rear deck off at the moment. The tyres are coming off, so it's all a bit fast and furious down here, I can tell you.
Well, the problem is if contact damages one of the locating pins for that rear deck, and they have to fight with that just to get the thing off. I don't know whether that's the issue down there, but anytime there's contact and it disrupts the normal way that these things fit, they tend to fit pretty snugly. Let's go back down to Andrew.
Yeah, well, they've got the rear deck off now. We can see that the rear splitter at the bottom is all damaged. The diffuser at the rear is damaged. Other than that, can't see anything at the moment. The mechanics actually working as they should be. Oh, actually, there's the left rear exhaust pipe is completely flattened. They're going to fit a new left exhaust pipe on the car. That will take a minute or so. So they're losing valuable time here in one of these short sprint races. This isn't a Le Mans race. This is going to cost them, I think, very dear. I don't think that JJ is going to get his second successive win here at Portland.
No, they're really going to struggle here today, Andrew. You can see the good news is they actually had the spare piece in the pit lane. A lot of these guys would be scrambling back to the transporter. ADT champion led by Brad Kettler on that crew. They're experts. They've matured so much as a team over the last 3 years, winning races, winning the big one this year at Le Mans. And they've got some of the best mechanics in the business down there right now trying to get this exhaust back on. But if it's took a hit, it's probably bent the entire system. It's not going to be easy. You see the tail in pit lane. That's ready to go on as soon as the other work has been completed. Let's go back down to Andrew.
Marco, just talk us through that incident. What happened there?
I don't know. I believe that something is broken because I lose the car on braking. So the car was going so quickly to the right and going into the spin. That's normally not the problem under braking. The car normally is very stable on braking. So there must be something on, and we check the car now. I don't know what's up.
Could that be caused by the touch you had with Frankie earlier when you lost the end plate?
Yeah, why not? But I don't know. We have to check it.
Will you two be having dinner tonight? Because you didn't seem very happy with each other. Well, they're happy enough. Okay, well, the rear deck is going on. This car is going to come out of here in just a minute. And I guess they've lost a couple of laps, guys. But Marco Verni's still smiling.
All right, Andrew, and I think Andrew made a very good point there. With that end plate gone and the air spills off of that a little bit, that's going to affect you deep under braking. And so maybe that was just part of the issue, that he didn't realize he had lost a little bit of the downforce at the back of that car.
But where Marco lost it was not really right down in the apex of the corner. He's sort of like on the brakes, in the braking zone. It wasn't like the last minute when he's just trying to get the thing way down. I mean, he sort of like lost it halfway through the braking zone. I think that just caught him by surprise. And there we see the 4-car soldiering on. Olivier Beretta behind the wheel. And he's got the lead in class right now, so things can't be too bad for Olivier. The bodywork sort of like took a bit of a knock, but certainly the suspension must be holding up and giving the car good performance. Let's go back to Andrew.
Indeed, you go back to the car accelerates out of the garage there, and the rear diffuser at the back is still damaged, so the bodywork was difficult to fit, but they lost a little bit more time, but they are back in the race, guys.
And for right now, I would think this first lap out of the pits for JJ is going to be very much an exploratory one, Calvin, for him to try and just figure out how this car is handling now with that damage and with that. They've obviously solved the end plate issue on the wing with the new rear body work, but that diffuser's got to be a concern.
It certainly is. JJ will certainly feel it out. He's going to be pumped up, though. I mean, we've seen some stirring performances from JJ in the past, but he's got a wounded car right now. They're currently running 4th in class. They've got a lot of work to do here this afternoon.
Well, it gets curiouser, and the confidence of Frank Biela after that great Infineon win, back on form, taking it to his teammate, and perhaps producing a little bit of frustration. Now, there's some of the discussions going on. Here are the class leaders in our 4 divisions. You know, it's rather ironic. This Audi R8 is a very, very tough car. It has taken amazing hits and been able to just soldier on. This one at Lime Rock, as a matter of fact, and that car still came back and was very, very successful. This hit as well at Infineon. They fixed it. It came back, and don't count them out just yet, but they've lost an awful lot of time. Come back, everybody. But we have a big incident here. That is the number 1. J.J. Leto is off the track, and it just happened right before we came back here. We have had an incident on the track. You see that the response people are already on the scene. So, I mean, it just happened, but a great response immediately.
It's a high-speed part of the racetrack, Greg. I think that's through turns 10 and 11. We see the rear deck is off the car, so I'm not sure if JJ had some type of failure. We'll have to see if we can find a replay on this, but there's a lot of damage to the back end of that Audi right now.
That's that very quick left-right, and then leading into that long final corner. And it looked, we have indeed now, we are under a full course caution. We are under our first yellow of this event and have gone 54 laps in. And our first caution has come out, and let's see if we can take a look and find out exactly what happened here. As the pace car has made its way out onto the track, picked up leader Butch Leitzinger, who, by the way, had opened up a 12-second gap.
Yeah.
Just a great run for Leitzinger.
See that.
No, he didn't want it, that's for sure.
They were just hitting the pit stop window at about an hour. 54 laps in. The team thought they could maybe get to lap 60 today under green before they needed to pit. I mean, obviously got a couple of warm-up laps, so maybe the second stint would be a bit longer, but here we see J.J. Leto being attended to with the safety truck, trying to protect him through the inside of that corner behind them right now.
Now, a little bit of this, obviously, is how many of these, if at all, any of the GT1 cars, GT2 cars, that situation that we've alluded to a number of times, where they are compared to where that overall leader is, and have they gained any advantage, have they lost anything? And we're going to be following that very, very closely, and that all comes, of course, at the time of a wave around. Now, we would expect, once the pits open, that we're going to see some stops, so we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. We are back at Portland, and you take a look at the incident scene down there. You notice there's no driver in the car. He got out and walked away, so he was just being very patient until the track was brought under control with the safety car and the caution flag, and then got out. Pretty smart by JJ. We're going to show you what unfolded here, Calvin.
Well, the bodywork just came unglued in the back of the car, tore off the rear wing. He lost downforce. He's doing 170 miles an hour there in 6th gear. He just clicks it down typically 1 gear through that corner at about 130. So that is the highest speed part of the racetrack. J.J. Leto had nothing to do with that. It was just purely mechanical failure. Let's take a look in slow-mo. Bodywork comes up and tears off the rear wing. J.J. is just a passenger at this point and got very lucky indeed. The way that he hit the wall there, scrubs a little bit of speed. Front end just touches and more of a sideways blow down the side of that R8. We know it's strong, but if that went in head on there, that would have been a big problem for J.J. Leto.
And when it took that rear wing off, you saw the back of the car actually just lifted up, and boy, that's when the wild ride started. It also looks like it may have got our speed cam back there, so tough incident. Best news, though, was seeing JJ get out and just walk away, and I think it was pretty smart, and obviously the workers were saying, no, stay in the car, and the number 63 is off, and possibly involved in that same incident, and after, such a great run, so he must have maybe picked up debris?
Possibly,
like
or, you know, when you're going that fast and that happens, I mean, you have to react to it, and Terry may have been caught out. He's so close to J.J. Leto there. J.J. must have just gone around him. Terry was right behind him there. Let's take another look at it in real time.
Okay, we're just going to play this for you and just listen to it, folks, as it comes at you. Boy, and there you have some pretty good indication. And I think we saw in the background.
Yeah, Terry jumped all over the brake pedal, and he lost the rear end then and got off the brakes. And, you know, we see the camera jib there that the cars have hit, so we've lost some camera angles for today's race. But what a tragedy for this team as well. Really an innocent bystander there for the Saleen team, looking so strong here today. Let's go down to Andrew.
Yes, indeed. Well, I've just got Andy Wallace here. He's just debriefing, if I can get Andy to come over. And he just caught me out there. Andy, pretty hard work and hot work out there.
Yeah, really, really difficult work, because at the beginning of the stint, everything was fine. The car was really fast, and I got caught in some traffic, and Butch got inside me. And then later on, just a few laps later, I mean, it's the same for Butch as well, of course, we just got more and more and more slippery. The grip just went away. There's no grip in the track anymore. I don't know what's on the surface. There's something very odd on the surface, and the car's sliding everywhere, so you're afraid to turn the wheel very hard in case the car swaps ends. So we just had to soldier on, but it seemed that all the top 4 cars have got the same sort of problem. You know, there's a concertina effect, and everybody's sliding around, so it's going to be a tough race.
There's only top 3 cars now, of course. JJ's out.
Yes, that looked like a very big accident. I hope everybody's okay there. A massive accident. That's the fastest point on the circuit.
Yeah, JJ is okay, and just to tell everybody, the number 2 car also changed its rear deck. When it made it stop, it then changed its rear deck. We saw them working really hard on the one car after the hit, and they were having problems getting that rear deck on, so it appears that that might have come off.
Thanks very much, Andrew. And there is the number 63 Semco Automotive Celine on the back of the wrecker. Some of the debris from Lado's car. We'll be right back. And green we are. Down we go, and it is now James Weaver has taken over from Butch Leitzinger and Chris Dyson in for Wallace, as we know that. And you see a number of cars coming out of the pits waiting, maybe too late, and here comes Pirro down to make his appearance in the penalty box. And when it goes bad big for ADT champion right now. They're just doing it in his pit box. You see the official holding him. 20 seconds is what we're hearing.
2 men over the wall before the car came to rest in its pit box, so that is a penalty. This is huge. There's the same penalty for the number 45 team in GT2. So, you know, you got to keep it clean on the racetrack. You got to be real smart and savvy in pit lane. And it's a bit of a struggle for this team this weekend. They've lost Graham Taylor, their engineer, for this weekend and for the Petit Le Mans race. He's also engineering a car over in the British Touring Car Championship. So they've kind of switched duties this weekend. Marcus Hasselgrove, who's typically the data engineer, has stepped up to the engineer of the car. But race calls, that'll be Lewis Malone, who's the crew chief on that car. So I'm sure they're going to be looking around at each other to say what happened there, how did we miscommunicate and have guys over the wall before the car came to a stop.
Meanwhile, we watch again Weaver now coming down the front straight, leading Dyson as he gets around the number 23 car, puts him a lap down at this stage. And one of the amazing things to me is the fact that after that contact with the Audi, that number 4 vet, now in the hands of Ollie Gavin, who has taken over the driving duties, not only never lost the lead, still holds on to it. So whatever that bodywork damage is doesn't seem to be bothering them too much. Pretty impressive. Andrew?
Well, I'm with the man who led the race until those pit stops, Butch Leitzinger. Butch, a great drive, but really hot out there.
It is, and it's doing some crazy things to the pavement. It's incredibly slippery out there. It's getting this kind of sheen on the tires. I think it's the stuff they use when they do drag racing here. It's covering the tires, so the tires aren't wearing out. It's just that they're getting more and more of this goo on it. It's getting more and more slippery. On the back part of the course, it is just lethal. You're scared to put any input into the steering wheel because it might go off in front or might go off in the rear. But you know, it's the same for everyone. And as bad as I thought it was, we seem to be doing the same times as everyone else. So, you know, everyone else is dealing with it.
And the old mate James Weaver will do a good job now, won't he?
Oh, he always does. You know, it doesn't matter if you give it to him in the lead or give it to him in 50th place. He'll give it his all.
Bit of pressure off now that the Audi just made the penalty stop. Bit of pressure off Butch now.
No, it's not, because I don't think it matters if the Audi's 3 laps down. They're very good at strategy and they're very fast. So no, the race isn't over. Don't stop watching yet.
Thanks very much, Butch.
I think Butch knows exactly of what he speaks right now, and that combination of the junk on the tires, it may just be some of the marbles and a little bit of dirt and debris on the track, as well as the heat, the oils coming up out of the various different pavement changes here. And that is obviously creating some problems here. Oh, and the number 31, big smoke, and that does not look like it's just lockup smoke. Something has gone wrong, and they were talking about they had a hub problem. Oh, is that coolant?
I can't really tell. It seems to be coming out from both sides, so I don't think it's a tire. There's the radiator up front there, and he may have run into someone. You can see it there just spewing out of the left side of the car there under the fender, so their day has gone from bad to worse, and they need to keep struggling on here, try and get some points out of this event, as we see the number 23 car that's really been cutting into their championship lead sits on the point now with Timo Bernard behind the wheel, the current ALMS GT2 champion. So White Lining, not a good day here. Had good pace in qualifying. We thought it would be a battle today. Let's take a look and see what happened. Down into the festival curve, just gets in way too late. I think they've done a driver change, so it's probably Jörg Bergmeister behind the wheel then, and he just got way too late there and damaged the front of the car, and there you see the fluid pouring out, and that's not going to last long. They've got to fix that.
And at the top of the show, Calvin, and the Pirelli storylines, you said they needed to win soon, and they needed it today, and it has gone completely 180 degrees of what they wanted to have it unfold here. So obviously they're going to fill it up. Andrew?
Yes, indeed, I'm down here, and the car came in with a dead engine. I'm looking underneath, but there's no water under the rear, but there's water pouring out from the front here, and I guess they've got a radiator damage, or they've got a hose off or something. And actually, it looks like, well, there's fuel all over the place as well. So, yeah, they're going to pull the front off this car, and I think it's contact has caused damage to the front radiator, I'd say.
All right, Andrew, thanks very much. The number 31, the Peterson White Lightning crew, getting to work, trying to salvage something from this event. Meanwhile, their arch rival in the hands of Timo Bernhard is leading and driving away. We are back at Portland International Raceway. 7 minutes remaining in the 6th round of the American Le Mans Series. James Weaver leads. Emanuele Pirro doing everything he can to run him down. Chris Dyson still not out of it by any stretch. That's in the overall scenario, and there goes Weaver working some traffic. And what we need to do is we want to show you what has been determined as the Mobile 1 move of the race. And little doubt about this one, Calvin.
Well, just the move of the race is the fact that J.J. Lato got away with this one. Just mechanical failures are always the driver's worst nightmare, and they had the problem earlier with Marco Werner. Made the pit stop. Maybe the bodywork was not fitting correctly, but certainly tore off the rear wing. No downforce. He was a passenger, but walked away. That's the move of the race, seeing J.J. on 2 feet and walking away.
Walking away from it, absolutely. And we have been watching the progress of James Weaver. We have also been doing a lot of speculating as to just how that car is doing. Andrew?
Yes, indeed. Well, the big concern here is that battery. Remember, the second battery is in there. It is losing charge all the time because of this alternator problem. I just spoke to Butch Leitzinger. He says, with the way it's discharging at the moment, it's just about going to hang in there until the end of the race. Talking about the tyre wear, it's a tyre wear, it's not too bad. It's all about the pickup. The pickup has been absolutely dreadful. But they don't have an issue with the tyres other than that. But they are keeping their fingers crossed about that second battery. Let's hope it hangs on.
Well, and I think the interesting thing is keep in mind what James Weaver is doing without, they've shut all the electronics off in that car, so in many ways he's flying blind and still doing the job he's doing. The guy is phenomenal. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the car that currently sits, by my reckoning, 4th in the P1 division, 7th overall is the number 12 Red Line Oil entry in the hands of Mike Lewis.
He's done a great job. He's won races here at this racetrack, obviously a Trans Am veteran, and sort of like makes the odd appearance here in sports car racing over the last 2 or 3 years and doing a tremendous job here today. His teammate is probably one of the biggest characters up and down pit lane, Brian Willman, who started the race, and Michael's trying to bring it home here. I mean, with a little bit of luck here, maybe they can sneak on the podium, but certainly 4th place. Great run for these guys.
Mike Lewis out of San Diego. Willman would probably call this his home track. He's out of Seattle, so he's really enjoying having a solid run here at this point. And we want to show you number 71 currently running 5th spot in GT1. This is the Viper that Tom Weichert has fielded, and these guys are having a very good run. Michel Rougelot right now behind the wheel of the Car Sport American machine, and running very solid top 5 right now. And these guys have been great supporters of this series. They have been here through thick and thin for a number of years, and they're putting on a really solid race right now. Under these conditions, we hear everybody talking about how bad the track is. To have this clean a run, that car is spotless.
That really is, and these guys are doing a great job. I mean, this is not the latest and greatest technology in terms of GT1. I mean, this car was dominant 5-6 years ago with the French Orica team, but it's not a match for some of the current cars, but certainly doing a great job. In fact, we're less than 2 seconds off the pace in qualifying.
Well, as we are now into the final 3.5 minutes of this event here, we're watching that Viper come up, and we're watching James Weaver come through behind, or excuse me, that is Chris Dyson come through right now as he sits in the 3rd spot right now, working his way up. Let's take a look at some leaders in various classes, specifically in GT2. It has been the domain of Romain Dumas and Timo Bernhard this whole day right now, as they have just been marching away with this one at this stage and going for a 4th straight win this season.
Amazing
That's remarkable
stuff.
enough.
I mean, the Hyatt Porsche here entered by Alex Joe Gracie doing a great job. I mean, going for 4 in a row, and Timo Bernhard and Romain Dumas, or Duda, as our friend Brian Till likes to call him, looking for their championship lead here potentially at the end of the day. GT1.
The amazing thing to me here is all that contact, that right rear quarter panel is dinged up pretty badly. It's folding out. You can see stuff dragging the back of the car, and both the drivers, Beretta, who got hit, and Gavin, have been able to keep this thing in the lead. And no matter what O'Connell's done, he has not been able to figure a way by. He's clawed back 2 seconds after being balked badly. He's within a half a second right now. But boy, we only got like 2 minutes to go.
He's making a statement here. The key will be what Dick Feehan is telling them in terms of team orders. Typically, they don't want the guys to race right down to the wire like this. I mean, they need to bring it home here today as a 1-2 finish, and we've seen many of these over the last 2 or 3 years from this team. Just phenomenal boys under pressure at Le Mans this year. The Aston Martin brought it to them. They were quicker, but boy, did that Corvette team perform to bring it home this year for another victory in GT1.
And the number 4, 11 points adrift right now of that number 3 car. We're going to drop back and show you the leader in the P2 division, the LMP2, in the hands of Clint Field. This would be win number 3, assuming he can hang on to it. And right now, it's looking pretty good. And at Infineon, he had to come from back in the pack and run down the number 10 car and earn that win. It looked like that was going to be the same setup here. Then the Miracle Motorsports entry had its problem, but this very, very exotic Intersport Lola, Clint Field behind the wheel, that is a solid pairing.
Done a great job, and Clint has really matured. Really a nice young kid, and a testimony to his dad, John, who's been fielding cars, no pun intended, over the years here in ALMS. And we hope to see John back here before the end of the season. We wish him well, and it's going to be a lot of fun be watching it on TV and watching his son doing so well here today. Lead.
And that is for the lead. We just had a pass for the lead. Pirro has gone by. It looks like Weaver is slowing. And folks, what we're hearing is probably not battery, fuel maybe for Weaver. Unbelievable.
Weaver. Unbelievable. They're looking at the monitors right now. They've got a...
No fuel pressure.
Turn your headlights off. Turn your cable off.
They're trying to determine if it is electrical juice or fuel pressure. I mean, Weaver should have that. We talked about him switching a lot of the ancillaries off, but he believes it's fuel. He switched to the spare pump. He said, I've tried both pumps. I got nothing. So he needs to pick up a little bit of pace there. Looks like he's got some juice going again. Hopefully he can at least get it back to pit lane. But what a heartbreak for this team on the verge of their second win of the year. And there you see it. No power down the straightaway. Pirro plows it down to the inside.
Well, if it was no electrical juice, the lights wouldn't be working like they were. And meanwhile, Pirro picks up a white flag, 1 lap to go. And Butch Leitzinger may have been far more prophetic than he ever wanted to imagine when he made that comment earlier here. There's Chris Dyson now in the second spot. Problem is he's 6 seconds back of Pirro. They're on the last lap. Weaver has pulled over and parked.
They'll probably keep a podium slot here today. They have a big lead over the 12 car we were looking at earlier. But meanwhile, Pirro and Frank Biela could be their second consecutive victory here today. And what a big day for them in the championship. We know that Leto and Werner haven't scored points here today with a big crash. These guys are coming away with the maximum.
3 points behind they were coming in, so they will leave here with the points lead, assuming that nothing happens here. And I'm not banking on anything until I see this car cross and get the checkered flag. But for Pirro, classic testimony to never give it up. You just got to keep going.
Rob Dyson at home must be tearing his hair out to see the guys running 1-2 in the last hour, and one by one his Audi juggernaut has come by. Take the checkered flag.
And there it is, the checkered flag. Emanuele Pirro. Look at that, the celebration. He and Frank Biela.
A little bit of luck that was hurt, actually.
He said it. A little bit of luck today, but we'll take a minute wait to get him. Chris Dyson, great job, mate. That was an awesome drive today, finishing second with Andy Wallace.
A tremendous job for Chris Dyson, and they add another second to what they've achieved this season. But Pirro and Biela, they are the winners. And folks, we have just been clearly reminded once again what makes this type of racing so fascinating. And for more on that, let's get down to Victory Circle. Andrew?
Just look at the joy of victory here. Some days you get lucky.
Actually, you know, we did a really good race. I don't know what happened to the Dysons actually, but it was difficult for me to push because I had so much pickup on the tires. I'm really happy in the way I drove, you know, I could just keep following. I could put a lot of pressure on Chris, but James was too quick for me. I don't know what happened. It's a shame for them, but You know, the Audi is it's an Audi because we got the reliability and...
Emanuele, we're going to have to stop you because we're just about to finish the program. Congratulations, great win.
Thank you.
Was indeed, and there you see it. They have now taken the point lead away from their teammates. Absolutely fabulous day for Emanuele Pirro and Frank Bielis. Second win in a row in P2. Well, pretty much all about Clint Field and Fiskin today. Let's go down to Krista.
That's right. The Intersport team able to capitalize on a day that was anything but miraculous for Miracle Motorsports. Congratulations. You, my friend, are the winner.
It was a good race, you know. I mean, Jeff and I I was catching Jeff by about 3 seconds lap, so I thought we could have caught him if he would have stayed out, but you know, it worked out the way it did, and you know, we came away with the win. I got to thank Richard Barry with Very Exotics, Rehearsals.com, and Quench.
All right, Clint, nicely done, and guess what? This win gives him the point lead, so lots of swings here. He finds himself on top of the order. Now, in the GT1 division, it was the Corvettes. The battle continued there. Andrew?
I'm down here with the two Ollies. Oliver Gavin, only your second win of the year, but you really had to work hard for it.
Oh, yeah, as always, you know, Ron and Johnny are pushing us very hard, but Olivier did a fantastic job earlier on in the race, getting a good lead, but then he was very unlucky being hit by an Audi. But as always, everybody at Corvette Racing worked extremely hard in the pits, getting this car fixed and back out in the lead. The team was mighty, as always. It's another great team result, another fantastic 1-2 for the Coffee-Ware Chevrolet Corvette.
That's the marathon, man.
And keep in mind the first podium for the number 5 entry, the Menards machine. So a great run for those gentlemen as well. And you can see that points lead shrinking again for O'Connell and Fellows with another strong performance. And in GT2, it is Romain Dumas and Timo Bernhard, 4 straight, Kristen.
Boy, was it ever. You know, every other class had a little bit of everything. This class had one thing. These guys up front all day long. Congratulations, 4 straight. How'd you do it?
Thank you. Yeah, Romain did a perfect start, and he went away a lot, and I think we had nearly a lap ahead. When I got in the car after the safety car, and it was a hard run at the end. I had to stay a whole stint on the tires, and it was pretty tough out there. But I'm very happy for him and for me, and for the whole team, Alex Job team, that we achieved a 4th straight win.
And you take a look at the points, and it has changed up. Every division has had a change in points here, and tell you what, it would have been a lot worse for the number 31 teaming of Bergmeister and Long had they not stayed at it and ended up with an 8th place finish. That was huge, but for the winners up there, it was a Romain Dumas day. It was just a good one here. That was a salute to Brian Till. Next race, Road America 500, Sunday, August 21st, live, 3 p.m. Eastern time, and that is a fabulous track.
It really is. One of the best. We look forward to visiting there, but this championship, we're in the heat of the battle right now. We're looking forward to the next round.
It is going to be a run right to the finish in terms of these points battles. It is going to be fascinating. Don't miss it. All of them coming at you right here on Speed. For Calvin Fish, for Andrew Marriott and Chris Devoto, I'm Greg Creamer. Thank you so much for joining us, and take care.
Is the American Le Mans Series.
Elkhart Lake in Wisconsin is home to the 4-mile track that's known as Road America. We're here for round 7 in our American Le Mans Series season's review for another battle between the Audis and the Lola Dysons. That's guaranteed to be on its way.
And legendary Phil Hill won in a Ferrari. Now,
let's see how it was live on MotorsTV before we go to Motorsport Canada for the best moments of round 8.
Circuit. You're out here for various race weekends. If you're watching over there in the Turn 8 area, you end up watching a lot of the go-kart activity. Just a phenomenal track here. So, and watching them work their way through the carousel at this stage right now. Expecting the green to be coming out here shortly. And they're going to give you our Mobile 1 move of the race, and it was a beaut, Dorsey.
It was indeed. Take a look at the second place car there, the 20 car. Andy Wallace trying to make a move, goes the long way around, gets set up to do turn 1. It's Chris Dyson actually that did that move and makes that pass before the big corner comes up.
Threading the needle is what that was called, that little split of those cars. Yeah,
it's great timing by Chris to get that throttle down. Now, pace car lights are out. We're down in Canada corner, not too far to go. These guys now know it's going to be aggression time. That's what I'm saying. Another caution, I wouldn't rule that out.
and 2-lap cars between Vila and Wallace, the overall leaders, so he's got that little bit of a buffer. Wallace, no such protection as we're on board with Werner in the 3rd overall spot, and that is Wallace directly ahead. Then you see those 2-lap cars, then Vila out front, and boy, what an amazing turn of events this would be for the number 2 champion ADT Audi team to come back after problems at the early part of the year and end up winning a 3rd straight race. Here we go through 14. Pace car is moved off, and watch for the green flag. Vila leads him up the hill. Green's out, and Wallace goes. Werner goes. Nice job by those lap cars. They just moved right out of the way and let these guys go. The 2 Corvettes, that GT1 battle now just that close, and looked like Beretta ran a little wide coming out. Traffic right now, it's just a scrum at this stage.
Wow, and they're going down the back straight toward the real braking zone in turn 5. Watch down here. Everybody's for position now. All these guys trying to get by one another.
And you can see there's the number 45 trying to give itself a little room, get by one of the Panos, squeezes in. Boy, that was very close. And here comes Long with the Panos trying to get back by the number 45, forces the 45 out wide. Long is through, new leader, GT2.
That's what I was talking about. It had to happen. You know it was going to happen down there. The Corvette boys are right behind that. Now watch again. It's going to happen in turn 8 the same exact way. When they go through this right-hand kink, it's positioning, and then it's going to be the brake zone.
Oh, Beretta gets through some traffic. That's going to help him out. Now O'Connell has got to get by. It's the 45, second in GT2. And O'Connell comes down, but traffic in front is going to give him that margin right back again. And now into the carousel. Corvette. Oh, the Maserati a little wide, let them through.
The Corvette guys can't do anything. They're going to catch all these GT2 Porsches right in the carousel. There's not room to go side by side. We saw what happened to James Weaver when he got brave on an outside pass there. They're going to catch him all going to the kink. Oh, a little block there. That was smart. Patrick Long not wanting that Corvette up to the inside of it. It would have broke his momentum, and he can't afford that. He's in a big battle of GT2.
He is trying now to get by that Panos, and the Corvette's trying to go with him, and Long just parking them, and rightfully so. He is trying to do everything he can to survive here, and he gets down to Canada first, trying to get by those cars in front, and the Vette's just sort of stymied right now.
Patrick Long doing exactly what he needs to do. He cannot let that Vette split him away from the Panos he's racing with. The Vette's are going to have to wait till right up here on this straightaway to get the job done.
And now Long ducks underneath. That's the J3 car, and he gets by, so he gets that little buffer. Now in the long straight, the number 4 Vette, now the number 3 Vette, move to the right and start to accelerate by. That's Long just off to your left, and he has given himself a few car buffer back to the 45. Some very sharp driving by Patrick Long. Frustrating maybe for the Vette guys, but the right thing to do.
And the Panos in the middle, that's a lap car, too. I mean, it wasn't for position for him. He just happened to be in the middle of a big war right now.
So now the Vettes, they're coming up on some other traffic as well at this stage, and it's just going to be a while for this to sort out. Vettes now have that long run down into turn 5.
Watch O'Connell. He's got him set up. He's in the slipstream with a lot of speed on. Now, can he outbrake him down here at the bottom? It's going to be tight.
Better tires, you would think. Therefore, maybe a little better grip down into the braking zone, but not this time.
Just let him go for some reason. Just not ready yet.
Almost
tires are totally gone. Copy.
Well, O'Connell certainly wants to make the pass, but he's got to do it clean. He can't go in there and start banging around and stuff. So he's just, I think, really working on trying to pick his place.
Beretta almost got into that corner too deep. I mean, he was just about to slide off the track there. And Johnny will see that. He's going to push him into these corners now, like down here in Canada. Right there, that's all over now. Beretta just went a little bit too deep and didn't get that corner done quite well. I think Johnny O'Connell's got the run going that he will need to make a move down by turn 1. Beretta going defensive to the inside. It's not going to let him go that way. Now, one thing that Beretta's got, the advantage he has is clean air. He's out there in front with nobody in front of him, and poor Johnny O'Connell's eating all the dirty air off that vet, which make the car a little tight, not want to turn quite as well.
One thing I'm noticing is it looks like Beretta turning in a little sooner than O'Connell. If the tires go away and you start to push, is that a sign of that sometimes? That you got to turn in early just to get to the apex?
Well, if it won't turn in, that's the only way you can do. Turn in shallow and early so you don't make the car turn as much, but then you got to slow up the middle of the corner.
Oh,
here
he
comes
goes. Johnny taking a look, showing the nose. Nope, not this time.
Well, you gotta think it's just a matter of time, though. But you said it before, catching a guy and passing him. Beretta does not want to give up this position,
especially a teammate.
I think Johnny's just got to push it real hard in the brake zones because it looks like Beretta's car doesn't want to turn down there in those corners.
Yeah, but the problem is we've got 1 minute and 38 seconds left in this, which means
one more time around.
One more time around. So if he's going to do this, he has got to jump on the opportunity here. Bila, so you know, Bila leads by 1.5 seconds overall over Wallace. And here comes, that is Bila now, and here comes Andy Wallace. And boy, that was 1:06 last time by. It's opened up more than that, certainly. White flag, last lap. Bila, it's 2.5 seconds now. So Bila just, he threw in a 155 flat to Wallace's 155.9. Bila digging deep when he needed it.
Here's the GT1 battle. It's a great one. I don't know if Johnny Oaken's got enough or not. I think he does. But boy, I'm telling you, Olivier Beretta not giving him any place to go.
If Johnny's going to do it, he may have to force his way by.
Now he's got 1 4-mile section of road to do it on, and that's going to be the last time around. Boys, everything's right. I mean, he's up there in the draft.
Got to stand on again, buddy.
He's there, Johnny. Tucked in. He's tucked in. Again. Doesn't try it into one.
Here, Mike, maybe down the hill. No. Looks like Beretta's just a little slower right in the middle of the corner.
There's Beretta. There's that shallowing up a little bit. Johnny squared it up a little bit better. Got a good run off the turn.
Well, you'd think in the draft like that Johnny's car gets to be able to suck up, but maybe not. It's just not getting much of help.
Meanwhile, just to update you folks, in the GT2 battle, Patrick Long, the 31 White Lightning car, 9/10 of a second clear of Romain Dumas, who has found it and has closed up to second and is that close in the Hyatt entry.
And I'm watching Beretta do something I used to do all the time, too. He's running in the middle of the road and be confusing as to what his intention is for a corner.
That's the battle in GT2 on this final lap. Not as close as the vet battle. Dumas driving incredibly hard now. His last lap a full second quicker than Long's. But we go back to this battle. It is so close. Down at 8. Oh, Johnny a little wide there. That hurts. That hurt. Meanwhile, here we go. Frank Bila, the number 2 champion ADT Audi, going for win number 3 in a row. And Werner taking a run at Wallace. Bila up the hill. And he has done it. Bila and Pirro win once again.
Fantastic job, Frankie. Fantastic.
Excellent. 3 in a row, and Bila did it with pure speed in his final stint. After that last stop, he was throwing down some awesome laps.
Look how much that turn 8 mess up hurt Johnny O'Connell there.
Here comes Jeff Bucknam, who's going to win P2, the Miracle Motorsports Slime Kumo entry. And boy, sweet moment for them after all the problems they have had this season in some of the races after starting off strong. And his first win since Lime Rock for them. And here we go. O'Connell taking the run. Got out of the turn quicker, but too little, too late perhaps. Up the hill, Olivier Beretta. What a gut check drive for Olivier. And that gives him another win with his teammate Ollie Gavin. 3 of the last 4. And here's look at this, Dorsey. It couldn't be closer. Dumas has driven brilliantly. 31 coming up the hill. Dumas there. 3 of the 4 classes unbelievably close. And Patrick Long just going to hang on. The Alex Jones momentum has been nicked.
You don't think he's happy, do you?
That is their first win, folks, since the opening round at Sebring. Unbelievable. And for Job, they had 4 in a row, and now this team has come back. And the commitment for that team with the new ECU, all the time spent has paid off. Here are the 4 class winners. We'll be back.
The American Le Mans Series. Cool cars, world-class drivers, premier road courses. Born in France in 1923 with the first running of the 24-hour... The ALMS is the glamour, the glory, and the grueling reality of sports car racing. European style with American attitude. Drivers from around speed, skill, and endurance. 4 separate classes racing on the track at the same time. It is the chain that connects the new and the faithful sports car fans of an extraordinary endurance racing. American Le Mans Series.
There are 3 races left in the 2005 American Le Mans Series. For the prototype championship contenders, the time to make their move is now. Winning is the only option. Could mean elimination from contention.
In the Prototype 1 category, teammates Emanuele Pirro and Frank Biela have pushed their way to the top of the point standings in the number 2 ADT champion Audi. 3 straight wins have propelled them to a 15-point lead in the series standings. Dyson teammates Andy Wallace and Chris Dyson are 2nd and 3rd. The real pressure is on the 2nd champion car, with defending series champions JJ Leto and Marco Werner, as well as Dyson drivers James Weaver and Butch Leitzinger. They are in a must-win situation. Anything other than victory could virtually eliminate either from the title chase. Now in the smaller Prototype 2 standings, Chris McMurray and Jeff Bucknam should battle to the wire with Clint Field. The Mazda tandem of Guy Cosmo and Jamie Barker 3rd. This weekend from a horrendous fire at Road America, but this is a team that has come back numerous times in the past, and they came through in qualifying again as Clint Field maintained the team's unbeaten record in qualifying at races they have entered.
In the production classes, the pressure is just as intense. Corporate image hangs in the balance of each race day decision and performance. Add to that personal interest squad battles, and you have a recipe for action.
Only 3 points separate Corvette teammates Ron Fellows and Johnny O'Connell from Oliver Gavin and Olivier Beretta. Word has it that this once friendly rivalry has turned even more intense. And now the Corvette camp has even more to worry about. In qualifying yesterday, Terry Borcheller in the number 63 of Simcoe Saleen grabbed the team's first pole of the season. And this was the first time that anyone other than Corvette has qualified on the pole in the last 16 races. Making things more interesting was that Andrea Bertolini was able to split the 2 Corvettes and qualify 3rd in his Maserati. In GT2, Timo Bernhard and Romain Dumas and their Alex Job Porsche rode a 4-race win streak to the series point lead. But last time out at Road America, 2nd place Patrick Bernhard and Dumas by only. Qualifying, those 2 teams continued their battle, with Dumas giving the 23 car its 4th straight pole position and 5th of the season. But the big surprise in qualifying is the 2 Panos entries. The 51 and 50 will roll off 3rd and 4th in class.
And all of those developments and possibilities will unfold on one of the most daunting, fast, and exciting tracks in North America. Welcome to the 8th round of the American Le Mans Series here at Mosport International Raceway near the great city of Toronto. We're back, everybody, and once again, the overall race leaders are coming up on that GT2 battle for position here, and you can see Werner going around the outside to the Westward Hill Casino entry, and now coming up and getting balked a little bit. That's just the way it plays out sometimes behind that Hyatt Bell Micro Alex Job Racing entry. But remember now, Weaver got held up badly when they got down into Moss, and he may have just happened again as he gets trapped behind the vet. Watch this big move right here. Look at Werner. Almost come by, get around, and Weaver just, Dorsey.
They split the Sugden car, and that's a very scary thing to do. Take a look from overhead here. Now here goes Weaver trying to the outside. Look how he really just dives on in there. Of course, he doesn't get the apex for the corner because James was on that side. Now another
gassing it right to the apex.
Another thing I want you at home to start looking at is look on the racetrack. Look at all the amount of rubber that's laying around. Look at those bits. You see them starting to fly around. Now, that's a bad indication of what's going on. We've got a lot of tire wear coming out right now. There's a lot of buildup. We're hearing people talk about vibrations with tires. This could cause a trouble later in the race.
Well, from that shot, we've been seeing those bits of marble. There's another one bouncing around. And moments ago, while we were in break, we heard Weaver radio his pit and say, "I've picked up a vibration, boys. We better change tires and driver at our first stop." So he's very concerned. Look at that. I mean, they're running all over that track.
What happens is those pieces inside the bodywork, they roll around and they're like a snowball. They keep getting bigger and bigger and heavier and heavier. And when they get heavy enough, they spit out. They can break a windshield. They can go through your bodywork, or they can do damage to your suspension. And it's really going to be prevalent.
Or lift a car right off the ground.
Like it did with me. Almost turned me over once. But you know, the vibration you hear these guys talking about is build up on the tires. It's those pieces of rubber. Now, they're not only on the outside of the racetrack now, they're online. That's why you see them flying around.
Well, I mean, it's essentially, it's a similar thing as having a tire out of balance, you know, when you lose a weight.
Oh, look here again.
Oh, boy,
there he goes again to the lead. Audi just splits it, and they're bumping, they're rubbing hard. And they put Weaver off. He's going to go in the tire wall, I'm sure of it. He did hit the tire wall.
Not hard. Doesn't look like there's a lot of damage, and he's letting it roll back, but unbelievable. Meanwhile, Butch Leitzinger onto the front straight. White flag is out. 1 lap to go here in round 8. And Butch Leitzinger and this Dyson team.
Somebody off.
They come out, and that is Long. Your GT2 leader is off, as is his left rear tire.
That's the end of the long straightaway turn 8. Patrick Long leading this class.
I was just cruising.
You heard that. I'm really sorry. I was just cruising. We'll see what happens.
Tire fell off. Wheel fell off.
There it is.
No doubt about it.
Drive it.
Unbelievable.
I was wrong that
one. Gone. Drive it. Try to.
And don't forget, guys, they've lost 2 wheels already. The left rear had been a problem in Infineon and in Portland, so this is a reoccurring issue. Very rare that you see it this late in a stint now. Unbelievable.
Well, he can't drive. He told him, you heard him say, drive it, drive it. You see the brake rotor spinning there. That car's done for the day. Not on the last lap. Can you believe that?
Oh, I'll tell you what, the 24 Alex Job car will maybe pick up the win. And for Bernhard and Dumas, what a gift late in the going. Meanwhile, what a brilliant performance by Butch Leitzinger. This will be win number 2 for the 16 car.
Butch, way to go! Way to go!
Butch gets that one done easily. The Corvette battle, though, that's not over. Here we go.
This is it. Again for second at this stage. And Borchler, boy, he needs help. He's close, but it's just not enough.
1 missed gear, though. That's all it takes.
That guy's still parked to the one side of 5 there. All right, nice and easy there. You're doing good.
Corvette's got the paddle shifters with the non-interrupt. They're not going to miss a gear.
Halfway down that long, mile-long winding straightaway. There's the crest of the hill. There's turn 8. Borchler's not close enough unless something happens with O'Connell. You don't see Johnny make a lot of mistakes through turn 9. Here we go.
Man. You did good, man. You did good. Sweet.
Another 1-2.
Way to go, Johnny boy, Johnny boy.
Another 1-2 for the vets. But what a performance by the Asemco Celine all weekend long. And here we go in GT2. Ian Boss, along with Darren Law, has worked at converting himself from an open wheel driver to a sedan driver to a Porsche driver. And
1 lap earlier, we'd have done it. 1 lap earlier, Ian. Great job, buddy.
Well, that was a confusing little statement. 1 lap earlier would have done it. We thought this was the lead car, the winning car.
Well, he's at a crawl.
This car is not past the start-finish line yet.
Well, the question is here: was the 31 car far enough out front by a lap that
would be the only way that would make sense?
This is and the 24 is stopped as well. Maybe that's the story. The 24 maybe has run out of fuel on its own. Well, we'll sort this one out when we come back. But Butch Leitzinger, we know for a fact, has won it overall here at Mosport. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Mosport International Raceway, everybody. You are looking at Victory Circle, where the crowd is building at this stage right now. Here are the top 4 overall, and in P1, and it is Leitzinger and Weaver get the win. Let's get down to victory circle. Cal?
Well, the Dyson team are victorious for the second year in a row. We'll talk to Butch here. Butch, what a great day for you guys. I mean, it didn't look good when James was in the tire wall there briefly, but a very brave call on strategy.
Yeah, they asked me whether I thought the tires should go to the finish, and I'm probably the last person they should be asking, really. You know, the pit stop was just fantastic. If we didn't get out in front of JJ, I don't know if we would have been able to get by him. So that was really the move of the race.
And James, I know it's an exciting race for you, the battle with Werner, and when you sat in the tire wall, did you think you had a chance at a win today?
I thought I made a mess of it again, but Butch drove absolutely brilliantly, so, you know, fantastic.
Congratulations, boys.
He dug me out of a hole.
You just saw evidence of how much these two guys mean to each other. Weaver was going to back out for a Leitzinger's interview, and Butch grabbed him and pulled him back in and said, no, we did this as a team. That's pretty special right there. Let's show you our Mobil 1 move of the race, folks. And this was it. That pit stop that they were alluding to, Leitzinger got in, got out, and right there accelerates away and was just able to hang on. There's the reaction. Look at Weaver. We did it. I can't believe it. And at that point, Butch drove like a man possessed, and the great J.J. Lato.
Is the American Le Mans Series.
This is round 9 of the American Le Mans Series Seasons Review, the notorious Petit Le Mans. It takes place at Road Atlanta, a 10-hour race, or 1,000 miles completed by the cars. The Zytek's back in the field, and it took pole position.
24 hours of Le Mans. Today, this great event is the penultimate round.
The big question that was being posed was, can the Shimoda-Chilton combo win a race finally? They were on pole position. Let's just see how everything was settled, because the start proved to be vital.
Running of the 24 hours.
And we are now very close indeed to the start of this 8th annual Petit Le Mans, round 9 of the championship this year. The Pirelli storylines, Dorsey, we've touched on them a little bit, but they're very, very important. They bear repeating.
Championships open in all 4 classes here today. They can be wrapped up. All the teams and drivers know, if you're the lead car, if you're the car that's chasing, they know what they have to do to get the job done. Le Mans invitations, there's gunners here from out of state, from out of the country for that matter. They're here for one reason. They want to win this race, and they can mess this championship up. To do so, they're going to have to make 70% of the miles here, or 700 miles. That will occur at lap 275.5, and it should be pretty exciting.
And if you don't get points, and that is the absolute crucial scenario right there. Now, we've talked about this track. Dorsey, it's one that Emanuele Pirro said to run 10 hours on is just insidious.
One of the best in the country. Kind of tough to pass. A real good spot right here, down into turn 1. However, from turn 2 all the way back here to turn 7, it's a no-no. You shouldn't pass there. Guess what? They're going to do it anyway. Take a look. Here's turn 1, climbing up a very steep elevation grade, and as you get to the top, it's totally blind. We saw that crash with Shimoda the other day. It happened right here. Brake for turn 3. This, arguably, the most photographed part of the racetrack in the world. This S, as we call it, wide open, flat out, all the way down here, top gear. You dare not get off or go passing anybody in this area. Will they do it? Yeah, probably. Turn 5, we see a lot of wrecks there, too. This is going to be a patience race, Greg.
Got to be careful in those various sections of the track, especially when you're changing directions and it's one lane. Here's the field behind the pace car, and we want to remind you that Chevrolet is the official pace vehicle of the American Le Mans Series. That beautiful car bringing him down for the start of this phenomenal race. And it's 8th year. The first one was not part of ALMS. It was a showcase event. Then ALMS came along, and it has quickly, in that short period of time, become one of the greatest endurance races going. We've got some great onboard looks for you. First of all, starting 4th in the GT2 class, the number 24 Provest Blossom Porsche. Then the pole sitter in that class, the number 23 Hyatt Bell Micro Alex Job Racing Porsche. Then 6th in GT1, the 35 Pirelli Maserati MC12. What a great sounding car. 4th in the LMP2 division, the number 10 Kumo Slime Miracle Motorsports Courage. And then overall, up front, we're going to be riding on board with J.J. Lato in the ADT champion Audi, and he promised us a show. I have no doubt he is going to deliver, and that's about to begin.
It is indeed. In this start here at Road Atlanta, downhill grade onto the pit straightaway, you can lead from the outside. Let's see what happens.
Watch for it. Green flag is out. Lato loves the outside down here, and he's coming right alongside. But look at the move underneath by James Weaver. 3 wide.
They make contact on 3 cars.
Leto and Shimoda are off. Weaver is through Leto. Serious damage, Dorsey.
Damage on the right front. That Audi's not going to win this race today, that's for sure. Weaver's car up ahead, up here. I don't know how bad that car is.
Weaver was able to get through that Shimoda.
You're right. The pole sitting car. Pole sitting car off. Second place car off. Patience, forget about it.
Front row gone, essentially. Eliminated already at this stage. And yeah, how many times did we say it? Patience. And there you see the damage. I mean, the right front suspension is shattered. That car's, he may have to just park it and be finished.
Got to ask yourself, 1,000-mile race, 10 hours. How stupid is it to crash in turn 1 on lap 1?
Unbelievable. Now, obviously, the team very capable of getting that car fixed, provided it can get back into the pits. At this stage, Weaver leads. Look at the debris field here.
Yeah, that is just a tremendous bunch of carbon fiber. There goes the Zytec they'll try to get this thing back to the pits.
Now it'll be the second big fix on the weekend. You wonder
this
about
is amazing,
parts. Yeah. Well, James Weaver just went low, and that was it.
Oh, that car's badly hurt. Weaver's car still looks pretty good. It's just amazing.
I'm not sure that Weaver actually touched anybody. He almost
I think he surprised him.
Right. JJ, I think Shimoda moved maybe a little left, and bang.
Radio conversation there. I think when you go 3 wide into turn 1, certainly the guy on the outside probably doesn't know what's going on.
Right now, Pirro in that second place car is staying.
Oh, look at this. Watch this.
Weaver.
Watch
boy.
This. White flag, that means a slow-moving vehicle. Yeah, there's 2 of them, guys, not just 1. These guys limping their way back home, hopefully, to pits.
Oh, Pirro showing the nose, heading into turn number 6 there, not doing anything with it, and Dyson sits in third.
Got to wonder if Weaver's got any kind of problem with toe in. He hit hard. I think, what was it? Uh-oh, look at this now. Shimoda's in the gravel trap. That will bring out a full course caution for sure, because they'll never get him out of there without getting a tow truck.
And you almost wonder at that point, if he's in the gravel, they tow him out, will they just haul him back into the pit lane? Let's go back and take a look at that start, try and sort it all out. And again, I think the key to watch for is whether or not Weaver had actually contact.
Well, this will show us. Here's your helicopter shot. Watch the start. Weaver's going to have a huge, huge start. Here he goes up the inside, trying to position. Now, that's a good move by James. Here he comes into the inside. 3 wide, that's not good, and you're right. You never knew he was there. Took the front row out entirely. Pole sitter, here's a better look. 16, Weaver to the inside. He's going to make contact with Shimoda. And that puts him into J.J. Leto. Now watch what it looks like when you're really doing it. That hurt my back.
That's a substantial hit, and even that you were coming down and picking up a green and accelerating and not at full chat, you're still approaching that corner at incredible speed, and Weaver is in. Problems. Let's go down to Calvin Fish.
Well, Weaver is in. They took off the left front wheel, and there's some kind of suspension damage. James is looking. He winks at me, but that was some opportunistic move I think he made there going down into turn 1. So James has obviously felt something on the car. Let's see if we can dive in here, try not to get in the way, and see if we can have a quick chat with James. James, what happened there in turn 1?
I got in the lead, mate, which is the main thing. I don't know, really, but the brake pedal went to the floor on the warm-up lap, so we're just trying to fix that at the moment.
Okay, so it's not suspension damage, it's some kind of brake issue right now, Greg.
Well, Calvin, in the replays, it didn't. I mean, there's not a mark in that car. I don't think that Weaver and Shimoda had contact. I think Shimoda was surprised by Weaver, moved a little left, collected JJ.
You might be quite right about that. In the meantime, though, what it does to the championship is not good. For this car, the number 2 car, if it wins this race, it's going to win the championship. And for Andy Wallace, who's co-driving with James Weaver back there, they would have had to finish in front of that.
That's the big problem indeed. Check in with Brian Till.
Well, Trevor Foster's the team manager here at Zytec Engineering. Trevor, Iannari have anything to say on the radio? Did he tell you what was going on? And can you tell from the footage that you saw how bad the car is damaged?
Well, it looks quite bad. He's lost the steering, which is why we're struggling to get the car back to the pits at the moment. And obviously, it got hit both sides. They got sandwiched in the middle, and there was nowhere for him to go, really. He just got sandwiched out. So it's just a great, great shame. You know, it's a 10-hour race. It spoils it for everybody, really. You know, for this sort of mentality in a 10-hour race. To do that on the first lap, and 2 experienced guys, I think it's a great shame.
A huge disappointment on the part of these guys down here. So pumped up after their performance at Mid-Ohio when they came to visit early in the season, and now all dash in the first turn of the first lap. Greg?
Again, Greg, you know, I just can't tell you that crashing on the first lap of the first turn of a 10-hour race is just completely ridiculous. We'll take a look again at what's happened. James Weaver with a great move, obviously up the inside. Now we'll have to see if they make contact. I think they do. Yeah, you can't really say. Definitely Shimoda has to move over because of Weaver. He gets into J.J. Lato, who gets into the wall quite heavily. But again, a move like that on the first lap on the first turn, you can't win the race until the end.
Right, and what's the old saying? You can't win the race in the opening lap, but you can certainly lose it. And the problem is one of the guys chasing this number 2 Audi for the championship was Andy Wallace, who for this race was teamed with the number 16 car of Weaver.
And that's what I was saying. With Andy being in that car, he would have had to finish in front of the number 2 car. Now the number 2 car's leading, and the 16's in the first.
And a lot of the competition in trouble, which, boy, I tell you what, for the number 2 entry right now of Emanuele Pirro behind the wheel and Frank Biela, things looking good. Chris Dyson sits in second spot right now, oddly enough in the car that Andy Wallace normally might run in. So very early in the going here in this 1,000-mile race, a lot of action. And here are your 4 class leaders. Welcome back, everybody, and the celebration is well underway here in Road Atlanta. The Petit Le Mans 8th running is complete. Here are the unofficial results in the P1 category, and overall for the top 2, Biela Pirro, and then Chris Dyson and Guy Smith. And then you take a look, Lato Werner, a great comeback drive by those two, particularly Werner, on form, and the rest of the pack. And the problems, of course, for Dyson and the Zytek. Let's get right down to Cal.
Frankie Biela, second LMP championship. What a day for you guys.
It's a great day, great day. I'm very happy. To be honest, we did not expect to win the championship here. You know, it was still a long way to go, and I thought that at the end we have to do well in Laguna. But we won the race, so that's it. We won the championship as well. Very happy.
With a healthy lead so early in the race, Frank, how difficult was it to maintain focus and maintain a rhythm in the race car?
I just said several times, when you're fighting for position, you have to be focused and concentrated, so it's easier than having a big lead, I'm sure, but it was okay.
Well, congratulations. We'll try and do a quick switch here with Radio Le Mans. They're talking to Emanuele Pirro.
Second consecutive win for ITT team champion. I think, you know, I remember the early days when we were with the Works Audi and, you know, they were learning. Now I think they can teach a lot of people how to make it.
Thank you, that's Emanuele.
Emanuele, deja vu. In 2001, you won this race and clinched the championship. You do the same thing tonight. What are your feelings?
I feel real great. I mean, you know, I've said several times how much I like America, the championship, the racetracks. And this year has been a tough championship, you know, against our teammates and against the Dyson guys. We really had very, very good races, and hopefully you enjoyed it, because we have done a lot of battles. Making it one race to go to the end, before the end, it's really, really great, and this is a great team effort. A little bit of luck, we played well, Frank and I, we were really on the groove, and that's racing. We can only smile about it.
Emanuele, superb job. Congratulations on another championship.
Thank you, I love you guys. God bless America.
Track that we have here, without doubt, and a beautiful day at this point, certainly, for this race to unfold. We're going to show you the qualifying order across the top of the screen right now, and certainly in the divisions. We want to take a look now at our Michelin tire field summary, and 16 cars running Michelins here. Pirelli has 4, 3 in Yokohamas, and you can see the rest. The interesting story with Yokohama, they picked up the 2 J3 racing cars. They had some problems on the Pirellis at Road Atlanta. In previous races, they decided to make that switch today.
You know, tire strategy is well complained of this. It's very cold today compared to when they've been practicing. It's going to be cold tonight for sure. As soon as that fog comes in and we lose the sunlight, it's going to be really chilly.
And most of the drivers say when it's windy here, when that kind of stuff happens, and the dust that blows up on the track, things can change literally lap to lap, even corner to corner.
They haven't run at night here before. There's no lights like there are at some racetracks. It's going to be very, very dark, and you won't be able to see that gravel and so forth to try to avoid it.
Starting to group up now. You can see lights out on the pace car, so we are heading down. Pace car will make the move into the pit lane. Field should start to queue up here, if you will, and we are going to be ready for the start of the season finale for the 2005 America Le Mans season. And this one should be spectacular. Mindful of what happened at Road Atlanta, Andretti hairpin turn 2 looming as these cars come out, starting to bunch up. Chilton bringing them to the line in the Zytek, looking for the green flag. 4 hours of racing underway.
They did it.
They did it. It's clean. And interestingly, Dorsey, both Lato and Weaver at Road Atlanta at the Petit said that the Zytek car slowed up a little more going into turn 1 than they expected. It looked like he was cautious here again, and that allowed, obviously, the 16 of Lightspeed to sweep around into the lead.
Well, the boys in the Zytek, the only car in the field that hasn't run in this crowd a lot, as we ride on board with Frank Vila in the Audi. This is climbing up now to turn 6. A little bit of a break, not much, almost just a lift. You flick it into the corner. We'll see trouble here before the days are only straight now. Here it is now, right in front of us, one of the Dysons. Chris, I believe.
As the 20 of Chris Dyson, absolutely right, just running wide.
He was a lucky boy to save that. Once you get off the racetrack on the outside there, you normally catch the tire wall.
Yeah, a lot of gravel right to the edge of the track. You drop a tire, it literally sucks you right into these traps in a heartbeat.
It does indeed. We'll take another look at that as Chris comes through. Just a little too much speed. Like I say, you don't slow up much. You flick it on in there, but he flicked it a little too much and got trapped to the outside. Look at that, the tire wall right here normally gets you. He was lucky.
Boy, he was lucky.
Look at that. It's pulling on him. He's trying to get in there. Good save, Chris.
Got it back onto the tarmac just in time. Lost some spots, obviously. He's back to 5th at this stage, but up front, Leitzinger leads it. Chilton right there in the Zytek 2nd. Frank Vila, Marco Werner taking advantage of Dyson's problems. And kind of an unusual story there. Werner, normally a brutally fast qualifier, only able to qualify 6th, complaining of bad push. Understeer all weekend so far.
Had a really dirty racetrack. Almost every session for these guys has been very, very dirty because of the dropping wheels and tires off, like I said before. So that car didn't like that, obviously.
Now, right behind Dyson there is the orange and yellow DHL Global Mail livery Porsche RS Spyder on the pole in the LMP2 class, leading right now. The interesting story is we heard from the gentleman in the pits at the start of the show. Field had the problem, ended up 2nd to last at the end of qualifying. They elected to change tires and start. They only gave a smart move, I think. We really haven't seen the mano-a-mano battle of that Lola versus,
you know, where Field's car was top. Soundly, but now, you know, if we get a caution, we get these 2 cars running in a mano-a-mano, like you say, it's going to be a darn good race. But I'll tell you, talk all through the paddock is this. Is the Porsche showing us anything yet? Or are they just running the speed they want to run? I mean, everybody's frightened of this car.
Guys, I just checked in with Rob Dyson on Chris Dyson to ask if the car was okay. He looked at me and he goes, yeah, it's fine. He just screwed up. That's the way I would call it. But one of the things that Chris talked about in setting the car up around here, you guys alluding to the slick track and the gravel. Chris said, you've got to get the car to turn in. You guys were just talking about the Audi with a push. Chris Dyson says, you've got to get the car to turn in here. Once you turn in a little bit late, if you can get the car pointed, you're good at corner exit. Corner entry is going to be a problem here all day long.
In my experience driving here, Brian, you're absolutely right. These corners, for some reason, really are kind of an understeer entry corner. The car does not want to turn. If you can overcome that problem, get it to turn in crisp, well, then you get to the throttle quicker to come off the corner.
It almost seems like a lot of the corners here are relatively flat or even marginally off camber going in, then pick up banking a little bit about mid-corner at the apex thereabouts. Is that part of it?
And the surface here also is just so slippery. We look at our lead GT1 there, Terry Borchell, our pole setter, getting hounded already. We expect this to be a good battle all night.
It's a number 3 of Fellows right behind him. And for the first time in a while, that number 3 Corvette out-qualified the team car. Number 4, Johnny O'Connell doing a nice job. Fellows getting a nod to start. And obviously running very close to Borchler. Keep in mind, this Celine, the Asemco Celine, led almost 2/3 of the race in Mosport, and then at the end, it kind of went away. And even though they didn't finish that well at Petit because of a number of problems in pit stops, if you look at a number of the stints, stint times that were run when they didn't have a problem, they were actually quicker than any other GT1 car on occasion. So they're playing.
And as you alluded to earlier on, the 3 and 4 Corvette team with a rivalry going on now. There's a champion. There's right now is John Field, who had to start in the back. He's right behind these two, not for long either, I guarantee you that. John making his way from the back, headed toward the front, trying to find that Porsche. He wants it.
Well, John Field is certainly having a spectacular run. We talked about the engine that went south after the throttle stuck wide open in qualifying. He was pretty happy with the motor they were putting in. It wasn't a fresh one, but the big turnaround this weekend is the tyre that Goodyear have brought here as a new compound, a lot softer. The team said in the night practice on Thursday it was 2 seconds faster than the tyre they've been running, so they really expected him to be able to challenge that Porsche for the class pole. And John said, if I get a caution, look out, I'm going to go after that Porsche today.
Well, there's no doubt when John Field is on, he is extremely fast. And, that, you know, to have that problem in qualifying where he can really show his speed, that would be doubly frustrating.
Got the game face on. I was looking for the Porsche the first day I got here. I saw John first. I said, hey, where's that new Porsche at? He goes, who cares? I said, oh,
that's right. All right, the gloves are off. Did you see the last lap going up into turn 6 when Field got by the vet? Coming up on the Celine, Borchardt faded left a little bit so he wouldn't mess his exit up coming out of 6 and give the vet a run. Borchardt, pretty savvy move right there. Here we are in our GT2 category right now, and the guy who was a little frustrated in qualifying, Mike Rockenfeller, didn't waste much time getting around the guy who frustrated him and moved into the lead in that right there, that black and red Porsche.
And remember, he showed him the fender. He said, look, you messed me up, I will get you for that. So I think these guys right now, I wouldn't mess with Mike right away at the beginning of the race.
A little feisty, you're thinking?
Yeah, I think he wants to prove a point here.
There's the number 23 of Romain Dumas, who, of course, the pole sitter, and put an absolutely stunning lap in. Everybody was just chatting about the speed that he showed. It was his 3rd pole of the season, 7th for the team, as Brian talked about at the top of the show. Doing a spectacular job, and there is the car that's leading in the championship.
Well, we talked at the front end of the show about Mike Rockenfeller being pretty upset about Romain Dumas potentially blocking him during his qualifying run. Well, instead of things actually settling down over the last 24 hours, they've actually gotten worse. I spoke to Romain this morning. He said, I can't believe what Mike is saying. He said, I went and apologized to him. I didn't try and get in his way. My speed through the corkscrew was what I normally do through there, and Mike believes I blocked him. So he said he's actually been to some of the Porsche folks and complained to them that I screwed up his best qualifying run. So he said, I don't understand why this is getting out of hand. He said, it was innocent enough. There's certainly a lot on stake here today. Those Porsche boys are certainly looking ahead to next year when there's going to be 2 of those prototypes, and I know both of those boys like to have their butt in the seat.
Well, it says it right on the dash, Calvin, don't hit.
Yeah, every reminder possible right here. Now we go to GT1. There is the number 3 Betta Fellows, who has gotten by Borchardt, was able to get by it. Boy, didn't waste much time, Dorsey. Once he cleared Borchardt, he opened it up. We'll go back and show you that pass. And he got a great run, apparently.
He obviously did, because he's got a big lead. Wow, something wrong with Terry. Here, going around the outside. He dropped a wheel off at the top, apparently. Had to gather the car up, had to check up. That gave Ron all he needed. Goes on the outside.
Yeah, right. We picked that replay up. There's a little puff of dust, and that you wouldn't expect at that point. So obviously, Borchardt just running a little wide.
We just got word down here, Greg. The Celine has lost its power steering. Carl Scherer, their PR rep, just came down, showed me the note. So obviously, Francois Terry's going to have to adjust. But he said at Road Atlanta, when it happened to them there, they lost the pump belt there. That he said he could only hang on for about 12 laps. They had to come in and pit. He said it's just torturous trying to manhandle that car with no power steering.
It would be really, really hard to turn 6 in those high load corners, no question.
Well, their day just certainly got a lot longer, and obviously looking forward to a stop, see if they can fix it. Here are your 4 division leaders. Welcome back to Laguna Seca, and we have a great battle unfolding at the front in the LMP1 division, and they are in traffic to boot. Very interesting. On board here with Bila, and he's trying to get inside Chilton at the exit of turn 11 onto the front straight. Chilton trapped by the Viper momentarily, but able to just squeeze through that little gap. I think Bila said, I better let him go.
And Tom Chilton has not raced against these guys on a day-to-day basis. Like I said before, they just came over, and he doesn't know what to expect out of a guy like Bila, so they give each other a little bit more room than maybe they need to. But it's traffic, lapping traffic already. That's amazing, you know. We're only looking at lap 8, and they're going through the back of the field already.
As you talk about Tom Chilton, the job he's doing right now, I checked in with Trevor Foster, who's the team manager there with that Zytec entry, and he said there was no way we were going to have a repeat of the start from Petit Le Mans. We talked about it in the beginning. We said, if no one else will be smart, we will. I think that's exactly what we've seen, because we know how fast that Zytec is. We've seen it all weekend long.
Well, Brian, it was pretty obvious when they got to the Andretti hairpin on that green flag that Chilton was being very cautious going in there. Butchie sort of drove around and Chilton said, fine, and tucked it behind. Obviously, exactly what you're saying. They were playing it very cautious.
And how many times do I have to say this? you can't win it to the end. You cannot win it at the first turn. We saw that last time out, and it certainly ruined these guys' day. Much smarter approach this year. Oh, Bob right
seriously squeezed.
One of the Panoses in traffic didn't know he was underneath. That's as easy as you can be taken around right there.
Try and get a look here from this shot as Chilton comes by, assuming he does. See if there's any kind of no, looks okay.
Rearview mirror shot. I like it.
Yeah.
Look at that. On the inside, Frank Biela moving around. Now the closing difference is huge into the racetrack here.
Remember Butch Leitzinger's stunning drive at Mosport after Weaver had the off to come back. Leitzinger in traffic all day, and that car not a mark on it. So.
Do you have low no-claims bonus and want cheaper car insurance? Well, at last, there's car insurance for people with low no-claims bonus. Bell. Look, I know it's hard to find cheaper car insurance when you have low no-claims bonus. Bell could save you up to £140. So, if you have 0, 1, 2 or 3 years no-claims bonus, give us a bell on 0800 140 180. You've got nothing to lose. Or save even more at bell.co.uk.
Expand your business with the Dell Inspiron 6000. It features Intel Centrino mobile technology. It's the perfect combination of Intel's mobile performance and Dell's rock-solid durability. It's just £539 with free delivery and 15-month McAfee Security Centre. And the only way to buy one is direct from Dell. Can I confidently go mobile?
And Ron Fellows' magic is what unfolded here.
This is Ron Fellows' magic, no doubt about it. He
Right
really
in front.
puts on the power moves.
Look at this right here. That first Corvette in the...
Says, I'll take that lead from you.
Threaded the needle, got by the Maserati. And that was his second great move of that lap. It was a lap of brilliance by Ron Fellows. And that's your Mobile One move of the race, and understandably so. And we also, the audio from, we're listening to Dan Binks on the radio while Ron was doing that. I thought Binks was going to blow a vein, and he was so pumped up about it. It was awesome. And as you can see by the clock right now, we're under 5.
Wow, it's going to be an interesting.
Shimoda leads it. Pirro is second. Wallace is third. So Chris Dyson looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, but I don't know about that fuel situation on that 20. You know, I don't know that they can make it all the way.
Well, he's been running laps in the high 120s, low 121s for a long time. So maybe that is exactly the cause right there.
I just checked in with Chris Dyson. He thinks that they can. He also had a big smile on his face. Exactly what I was saying might have been the case was. He said, we turned all the lights on, we set the crew up on the wall, we set the board out, and I know that the guys down at Audi thought we were coming in. They came in, we didn't, we got them.
Dorsey, you do that in racing to your competitors?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Snooker, it's called. Snooker them.
Absolutely. Threw out the hook and they bit. Yeah. Well, hey, that's part of the game. It was a little strategy, a little psych, and it worked out. So right now, Wallace is looking pretty good here for third. And keep in mind, though, leading in LMP2 fourth overall is that Porsche. Not too bad.
The other side of that coin is he could be lying to us, too.
That's true. That's very true. Well, we'll find out if there's a sputter from Wallace.
We won't know that for another 4 minutes, 3 minutes.
Coming up and dealing with some pretty serious traffic right now. And, you know, with all the battling we've had, the number 4 Corvette, you know, we've got a great field of P1 cars here. Obviously, the Porsche P2 has been strong, but Gavin and Beretta, they're running 7th overall right now.
We've seen intense racing in all 4 classes for 4 hours. I mean, there's nobody in this show that's run away with anything. Everybody's had to battle it out for the entire day and now into the night.
Just had a shot of the number 2 Puro. There's the 51 Panos. And there is the number 4 Corvette. Oliver Gavin, as you said earlier, the shock collar's been taken off, and he's been out having some fun right now and just really has been throwing down some very impressive laps. O'Connell is second, and then it's the two Aston Martins, Lamy and Brabham, third and fourth. And the number 6 is in, Brian.
Talk about needing fuel. It looks like the guys down here at Penske were just a couple of laps off. Lucas Luhr brings the Porsche Spider in.
Now, do you really need the fuel, or just not showing as much hand as you've got play? We don't know about this Porsche, folks. I mean, it's brand new. It's quick. We don't know the fuel mileage it gets, and we're getting dealt a bunch of different cards by Roger Penske. I can guarantee you, master statistician, he won't let us know any more than he wants us to know.
Absolutely, but he's letting us know this car can certainly be effective, let's say, in LMP2 right now. And that stop, obviously, not going to hurt them. They had a pretty significant margin in the class. Still important to point out, I think, that by our reckoning right now, the 37 of the Fields and Liz Halliday is well above the 70% margin they needed relative to the number of laps that the number 6 Porsche here has completed, which means Clint Field will get a championship.
And I'm really glad to see that for Clint Field, because that team have worked real hard this year under a lot of different circumstances that really hit their fault.
And the white flag flies. Shimoda now on his last lap, and for the Zytek, he's getting through traffic. Boy, what sweet revenge this would be after what happened a couple of weeks ago at Road Atlanta. And again, this team making the commitment to come over and run these last 2 races, getting pole there, and then having it all go away. This will be awesome.
Just past the Dyson car right there. I didn't get the number on it, but here you're on the white flag lap, and the leader's behind you. Why would you want to go one more time after 4 hours?
Yeah.
Let him go.
Absolutely. And by the way, just real quick on that Clint Field situation, as we said at Road Atlanta when we actually got a little bit ahead of ourselves, he will be, when he wins this championship, the youngest ever champion, not only in ALMS, but in IMSA, because he's 4 months younger than John Paul Jr., who won the IMSA title in '82. So, a pretty special year. And for Clint Field, I mean, he had a number of wins last year and just missed the championship. So this is going to be a sweet moment as well. But there is Shimoda one last time through the corkscrew, through Rainy Curve, down into turn 10. Oh, they touched. They touched that car. Don't know who it was, but there was definite contact. And Shimoda now, last time through turn 11, accelerating up the long straight here, and the checker flies. The Zytek, after 3 poles, has come through and picked up a long overdue win.
Absolutely. These guys really had to go through a hard time this year just to get that win in there. A lot of problems, a lot of wrecks.
On board here with the 31 of Patrick Long, as he makes this turn, he's going to be coming to the checker and putting an exclamation point on the championship they earned. We heard that before at Road America, and I think it was even louder this time. Look at the party going on there. I remember how important it was. Look at Jorg right in the middle of it. They said it's the team championship means just as much, and these guys are coming unglued.
Not great dancers, but they're happy.
Well, they fought back, man. They did what they had to do after that Sebring win, and they kind of fallen off the map a little bit. And here you go, the celebration. You see Lucas Luhr as he has now taken the checker, which means a win in the debut race for the new Porsche RS Spider.
You guys.
And here we go, number 4, Ollie Galvin. Not just a championship. Became a father for the 3rd time about a week ago, and now gets a championship to go along with a win at Petit, a win at Le Mans. Pretty awesome year for Oliver Galvin, and of course Olivier Beretta as well.
And the Corvette guys, all of them, all the crews, the 3 cars, well. You see them all right there. Nothing better than have a situation like that where the whole entire team can celebrate because you beat yourself.
Yeah, not a doubt. Well, hey, here's a figure for you here. Corvette Racing extended their record, their 40th win as a team, and their 26th 1-2 finish. We'll visit with a number of drivers when we come back. Welcome back to Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. The ALMS season has come to a conclusion with an unbelievable race. And up front and overall in P1, Here's what happened. Shimoda and Chilton get the win in the Zytek. The first time ever since the Audi R8 came into existence that it hasn't won here. Vila and Pirro, who already clinched the championship now, second place finish, and Dyson and Wallace, a little snooker move maybe, end up filling out the podium. And then you see Leto and Werner, Viver Leitzinger, Lewis and Willman, and let's check in with Brian Till.
Well, the celebration's taking place down here right now. Hayanari Shimoda and Tom Chilton both being lifted up by their team. Hayanari, fantastic drive there to finish the race. After 3 attempts, you finally take your victory.
Yes, thank you very much. Finally, we could win. So, yeah, until now, yeah, we had many troubles, then we have many crashes, then finally we could win. So we are very happy now.
I'd say they're very happy. Tom Chilton, we had a chance to talk earlier. I noticed that one of the first people to congratulate you was Rob Dyson. He said, make sure you come back. Let's do this again. You coming back?
Yeah, for sure. We'd love to come back here next year. But as you can see, just then, that explained it all. Everyone's face is picking us up in the air then. That explains everything.
So big celebrations for the boys from Zytek down here. After 3 races, they finally found their victory. Guys?
And Brian, clearly a great car, but great drives by those 2 very young drivers. What a future they have. So here are the unofficial results. And obviously, you take a look and you see that the championship was clinched by Pirro and Vila, but Chris Dyson going to move up. All right, and let's take a look at the results in GT2. This one, Long and Bergmeister get that win. Another one to add straight. Oberlin and Liddell so close, but for fuel. And then Rockefeller and Hensler in third. Here's the rest of the look. Let's go down to Calvin Fish.
Well, a big day for the White Lightning team. They take the team championship. They get the win here tonight and the drivers' championship for the 2 boys, Jorg and Pat Long. Pat, your first drivers' championship in a car. What's your feeling right now?
I can't even describe it. It's all about these guys right here. These are the guys that make it happen, but what an awesome race. Again, we came with a clean nose and pulled out more wins than anybody in this championship, which feels really good.
You had to keep it clean. You had to get to that 70% mark to make it for sure tonight. How tough was that, and how about going for the win at the end of the day?
Well, I couldn't believe what was going on early on in the race. There was just complete chaos on the track, so to stay out of that was a big challenge. I wanted to go up and fight with Rocky and Romain. They were having a good one, but it just turned out perfect.
And Jorg, for you, I know it's a special victory here tonight to win the 3 endurance events and claim that first driver championship. Last year, you should have won it with Timo. You missed the first round at Sebring. That cost you the championship. Now you have one for yourself.
Yeah, it's perfect. And the perfect way to end the season. 5 wins. I mean, couldn't have gone any better. And I'm so happy for the guys, the whole team. It's the first championship for them as well. So it's a perfect day.
Congratulations, boys. Well done.
Yeah.
That team knows how to party. Here are your final standings at GT2. Bergmeister and Long get the championship. That 4th straight win. Romain Dumas and Timo Bernhard, boy, close. And obviously had some issues today when they got helped off the track. And that ended up being the margin there. 34 points. Jorgen Bergmeister absolutely earned it. Now let's take a look at our final standings in the LMP1 division. Emanuele Pirro and Vila had already clinched it, but Dyson, with that great move and that great drive with the help from Andy Wallace, ends up second. Leto and Werner will settle tied for third. Not many points back, only a few, but that was enough. And as a result, there you go. But Pirro and Vila adding a second championship for each of them and doing it just an absolutely fabulous job. We'll be back for more from Laguna Seca.